All right, guys, welcome back. I don't know if any of you joined us late last night after the games. I think we were dragging a little bit. It was a long day, but I'm feeling pretty refreshed, ready to go today. We are set up here at the FFPC main event drafts. We're at the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. We are just outside of the ballroom where there are, I think, like 35, 40 drafts going on right now. And
auctions as well.
Well, we're going to be hanging out here for the next couple hours. We're going to have some guests swinging by to talk drafts, ADP, all of that good stuff. So yeah, feel free to settle in with us, and the chat's going too. So if you guys have questions, stuff you want us to pass along to any of the high stakes pros we're going to talk to, that would be welcomed. And yeah, how are you feeling, Pat, after one day in Vegas?
I'm feeling good. I think yesterday we went after it a little harder than we had planned to, and you might have noticed that by our demeanors last night a little bit, but I think we powered through to the best of our extent. And then today, just going around looking at the draft boards a little bit, seeing some interesting stuff happening, getting excited about our draft tomorrow.
Yeah. For you guys who don't know, Pat and I are drafting a main event team tomorrow afternoon, which is the last possible main event draft, which means we have maximum amount of news and game results from last night that can affect our board. So it's super fun to go check out all the draft boards and see how those are kind of dynamically changing in real time.
Yeah, and we'll have the maximum amount of news for Le'Veon Bell, who we've started to get excited about. At least I'm excited about the idea that he might fall to 212, 301 if he hasn't reported by tomorrow afternoon. So Pete is a little bit scared to take him if that's the case.
It'll be really interesting because the rumor is, I think Ian Rappaport came out and reported that he suspects Bell will report by tomorrow, which would, of course, but if he doesn't, he is going to slide down draft boards for sure. I still think there's going to be someone willing to take the plunge in the mid-second before us, but I'm warming up to it. What has me sold on it is that idea that there are going to be no other teams in this main event draft, maybe a couple at most, who could have Gurley and Bell on their team. And it was it last year or the year before when Hubbard and Sousa won the main event? They did it because they had Bell, Gurley, and McCoy, 3 hammer running backs. And it was a unique thing that they were able to get that based on when they drafted. And so by drafting at the very end, that could put us in a position to do something like that. And so I am warmed up to that idea of being able to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So Scott G asked, what are the stakes for your draft? So yeah, the main event is a $1,800 buy-in, and there is it's a 12-team league, and there are prizes. I believe the top prize for winning your individual league is $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, $4,000.
And then, of course, if you win your league, and there's a couple other ways to qualify based on points, then you go into the super bracket for the final 14, 15, 16, and that's where you can gun for the $250,000 grand prize. But yeah, everyone playing in here, some qualified through satellites, but the main buy-in, if you want to do the main event, is $1,800 that we have subsequently torched on fire.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Do they accept Man's Coin? Not that I am aware of. Yeah, just fiat currency, unfortunately.
What's the current rate for Man's Coin to dollar?
So, of course, this is all just passing this along. I'm, his manager, but he forked his own coin, and he's now selling Man's Coin Lit, which it seems like a cash grab by Man's. I think they're going for $20.69.
Seems like a potential exit scam, to be honest.
It does, yeah. But we're not here to talk about Man's. That guy gets enough attention in his endeavors. We're here to talk about high stakes fantasy football. Oh, look at that, a 4-for-4 shirt over here, looking good. How'd the draft go?
Good.
Yeah.
All the number one pick, can't complain.
Yeah, Gurley.
Yeah.
Who at 2-3?
2 David Johnson. He was 2 David Johnson.
Nice.
3 was Zeke.
You guys want to hop on, chat for a sec?
Yeah.
All right. Grab a seat.
Yeah.
All right, we got a mic. Yeah, grab that. Come over here. I feel like I should know your name. What's your name? Caleb. Yeah, Alcorn, right?
Yep.
Nice to meet you, dude. You're a Denver guy, right?
Yep, Denver.
Awesome. All right, we have.
Also Denver.
All right, we got 2 Denver guys here. I like that jersey. Got some old school Orange Crush vibes.
Got to.
Let's make sure you guys are all in frame here. So you guys just finished your draft. You had the 101, which is what we have, and you said you went Gurley.
We want Gurley. Yep.
Yeah. And then what about the 2-3 turn? That's what we're really interested
We got
in.
Kelsey Ty on the turn. So
we had some receiver options, but we like Ty.
I think I was looking at your draft. Did you end up with Ingram as well?
No,
Yes.
not
Okay.
Ingram. No.
Oh, so that's. I saw another draft. They had Kelsey Ty.
Oh, he said you had Ingram.
Oh, Evan Ingram. Oh, I thought you meant
Yeah.
Mark Ingram.
Oh,
We got
yeah.
Evan
Oh,
Ingram,
nice.
yeah.
Okay. I was just looking at your draft.
Stacked at tight end.
So,
I mean,
here.
And
a
where
little
did
bit
Bell
later.
go? That's what we've been talking about here,
at the
too.
1-2 turn.
Yeah, he went
Okay.
2-1.
Okay, interesting.
Jamal Williams in the 7th. Love that.
We
Peyton Barber jumped a little bit.
Yeah.
on him.
only had Gurley as our running back through round 5. So then 6-7 turn, we went Barber and Jamal Williams.
We're
Should be-
thinking the same 6-7 turn running back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were really going Sanders, but this guy robbed him of us. So robbed us of him.
What was your favorite pick in the draft?
And I think it was Kelsey. Just him falling that late.
Try
We
to-
assumed he'd probably go a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I would agree. Kelsey, we think is huge.
Yeah.
Tight ends in this style league where they're 1.5, like you have to value that.
Did you get any other tight ends after
Well,
that?
We got Ingram in 4.
Oh, yeah.
And so then we were pretty good for a while. So we just grabbed Vance McDonald in 16, just a
Yeah.
insurance policy.
Doesn't sound like he's going to play this week, but should be good
Yeah,
going
Yeah.
forward.
for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I like that's a nice distribution of tight ends there throughout the draft.
Yeah, and our strategy obviously was kind of sit on quarterback as long as you can. Luck at 8 we felt was pretty good.
Yeah.
He has potential in our mind to be, the number 1 quarterback by the end of the season.
And stacking with Ty, it's always good.
Yeah.
Let's see what else you guys did here. Okay, Sutton. Yeah, I hear all the training camp buzz from him has been
He
super
is a
positive.
monster. Like you see him and before you know him, you're like, who's that guy standing over Demaryius Thomas?
Yeah.
That's Sutton?
So is this? But I have to ask: was this an objective pick, or was this your Denver homerism shining through?
It was a little bit of both. We took him right with Gallup.
Yeah, right at 13.
You take
Thought it
a
was
few
good
rookie
decision.
receivers, kind of just hope one pans out.
Yeah. And I feel like Jeffrey in the 9th is an interesting pick with him sliding. Aguilar looked pretty decent last night. His usage, I know he didn't have a monster stat line.
Totally. And our other takeaway from that is like they need somebody else. And so when Jeffrey's back, he's going to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because no one else really filled that. Wallace had a few chances where he got kind of underthrown, but still like Jeffrey there.
Excellent. Yeah. And I feel like Lockett in the 10th is a pretty nice value there.
Yeah.
And Pat and I have actually been arguing about Jarvis Landry a little bit. I can understand why it could be considered a reach maybe in the 4th, but to get him in the end of the 4th, early 5th seems like a steal.
Yeah, Caleb loves him, so I'll let him.
And with Ty, I mean, he has that over-the-top ability. So I just really like him. You have Jarvis, who has that PPR ability, and Ty, who just has that ability to go over the top. It just is a nice little combo. We have that consistency and just that top killer. So it's nice to have for sure.
So you took Landry with Gordon still on the board.
We did, yeah.
We were getting into this last night. Landry versus Gordon.
We actually made a $100 bet in the elevator. Who has more fantasy points, Jarvis Landry or Josh Gordon?
I took Gordon.
He took the Gordon. I have the Landry side. We were both tired, irritable, angry, and made a bet in the elevator. Because we always just let's stop arguing. Let's just make the bet and be done with this.
We do the same thing. We'll put money on it, make a decision, put money on it, go from there.
Yeah.
But just kind of looking at our team where we started, Gurley, Kelsey, Hilton, Ingram, that's pretty solid. So in my opinion, I think Gordon has more upside, but I think he's a little bit more of a homer. And so we think Jarvis is a little more grounded, which is kind of what we wanted there.
Yeah, we got a question in the chat here from Thomas Moscato. He asked where Keelan Cole went. Looks like he went in the 9th round, pick 105. I like kind of what this guy did. He went back-to-back Aguilar Cole. I think that's about where he's been going in these drafts, 9th, 10th round. He definitely has a lot of, I would say, industry buzz around him right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Although I see you guys took DJ Chark with your second to last pick. Are you maybe seeing some opportunity for him to climb up the depth chart there?
I've heard good things about him. I don't know a lot of his college history, but I know he's, I believe, 6'4". So losing Marquise Lee, he could be a guy with a big body that could emerge at some point in time. And that late, it's someone you can sit on for a while. You don't need production immediately out of that.
Excellent. Well, hey, we really appreciate you guys swinging by to talk about their drafts. I feel like you guys got a good one. Do you have any other drafts this weekend?
Yeah, we got one tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Okay. And are you guys looking to diversify a little bit? Or are you going to try to stack up on your guys?
We're in the 8th spot.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
We'll see. But we want to have some consistency. Some guys we really like, we clearly want to get again. But
who are you targeting at 8?
Probably Gordon.
Yeah, just one of the high volume running backs, one of the bell cows, and just go from there.
Cool, awesome.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good luck as well.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Appreciate it.
All right, next up, we have Sean Bosely going to be joining us over here. Sean's going to get situated here in the hot seat. Sean, welcome to the program.
How's it going?
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And Sean, if you guys aren't familiar, he's a high-stakes drafter. And what's the deal with this? I don't see it with you, the Darth Vader kind of Mr. Potato Head.
It's in my bag. Yeah, it's kind of my.
I think you should get it, honestly.
Stand by.
Yeah, let's get this. Sorry, I hate to, delay this interview right away, but this thing deserves some camera time.
Yeah, let's scoot down a bit.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's get this guy. How do we get? There we go. You guys can see that here. So this is your signature. This is like the fantasy football equivalent of like a chip protector for playing poker, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I wanted to strike fear in my opponents. So, and when somebody snipes me, I give them one of these, a little, just to get them thinking, maybe there's some force happening here,
Yeah. And so we were excited to have Sean on because he drafted last night in one of our favorite drafts that they have here. It's always Thursday night after the opening game. It's the Bare Knuckles draft. Why don't you explain to people what that Bare Knuckles is referencing?
Well, I saw the YouTube last night. You referenced everybody in the Bare Knuckles as the sick puppies. So Bare Knuckles is pretty hardcore. It's best ball, 28 rounds, 30 seconds a pick, no cheat sheet, no help. If you have a co-manager, you can't talk to each other. You can switch out one time, but that's it. So.
Yeah. And I saw you went solo. I did see a guy switch out. I think it was like 12th, 13th round tagged in.
There are a couple teams that, had two guys. And, if you have to use two brains to do this, that's cool. But I mean, just use one, whatever works. Team 4 is the current champion. Boobs love them. That's they won last year. And they got a strong team. I kind of like their team again.
It's hard to kind of decipher what that team name means. There seems like there's lots of layers to it.
It's very...
love them? Or is it
boobs love them? Or is it boobs love them all kind of like you kind of say it really fast? Boobs love them?
I'm trying to get them. If they keep winning, I think they should split up and be boob versus boob.
Okay.
Or they could be boob on rouge or something like that.
Oh, it seems like you have considered this.
They're my nemesis. I might get them this year. If I gambled in the second, I got Gronk. So if Gronk smashes this year, I might do okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm probably toast.
And so I feel like we definitely want to talk about your team a little bit, but how do you go about preparing for it? Is it just doing so many drafts that you have an innate feel for the boards, or is there some actual memorization that goes on here?
Both, actually. I start out memorizing the bye weeks because in this one, you got to get the conventional wisdom is 3 kickers, 3 defenses, 3 quarterbacks, and there's no waivers or lineup. So you have to deconflict the bye weeks. You want to get 3 kickers. They're all often because you get no points. So that's kind of the first thing. And then I do practice with the Football Guys app and try to just look at the board and not look at who they recommend and go through there. But you can't, like they say for this event, you can't, no matter how many mocks you do, what you prep, it's going to be different. And this thing started off 8 running backs, and team 3 ended up with 4 kickers, 4 defenses, and 4 quarterbacks. So kind of threw everything in a jumble.
Yeah. So, who slipped the furthest where someone made the pick and they were like, oh my God, how has he not gone?
Devonta Freeman slipped, I think, to the 5th or so. I don't have it right in front. Actually, it's on my phone. He slipped pretty far.
And was that purposeful? Because you think he'd be front of mind having just seen him play.
They just saw him play. They saw him split carries with Coleman. So, yeah, he went in the 5th to team 4, of course. Part of this is you kind of have a name in your head, and when it gets to you, if the guy right before you takes him, all of a sudden 30, 29, 28, 27, and you got to kind of have to regroup. So a lot of times it looks like really good value, but it could be people just couldn't pull it out of their brain fast enough, the pick they wanted.
Right.
So
I saw someone get skipped last night for a couple picks.
Yeah, team 5. He was supposed to have a co-manager with him. That's Brody at Das Coffee on Twitter. His co-manager kind of partied a little too hard during the day and didn't make it down. So he was kind of left hanging. I think they were going to split up the 14 round, do the first 14, second 14. And So he, you know what, he recovered though pretty good. When you get skipped, you get they go to the next guy,
Right.
And then after the next guy picks, you get 5 seconds to try to pick again. And if you don't do it in that 5, they go to the next guy. Then they come back to you for 5 seconds. So he recovered pretty good, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat from Kevin English. He says, what's the penalty for announcing a pick that was already made?
You know, there wasn't, which was interesting. And I kind of thought there should be because, like, for example, Team 4, the champs, would call out like a name and they're like, it's already there. Oh, well, how about this name? Oh, that's already there. And that's doesn't seem like that. There should be a penalty, but there isn't currently. You still got 30 seconds. So currently there's none.
Yeah, because it almost there. I assume there's some sportsmanship to it, but I feel like you could do a little rapid fire, just saying names, until you get hit on one that's available.
I mean, I'm just giving a hard time. We only did it once or twice, and I think they were honestly thought that the guy was available. But yeah, I think if somebody was doing that, it would be up to moderator to kind of squash that. I mean, these guys run it pretty good, so
yeah.
And
now, not to deviate too far from football, but you're a pilot, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And
yes.
How do you? I feel like with that. Have you ever checked the waiver wire while in flight?
No.
Okay, just making sure. I don't want to get you fired. But
first of all,
this is a safe place. No one.
Yeah, we're in the tree of trust here.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. So I try to get Sundays off, and Saturday afternoons are busy for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I assume there's just some times where you're flying when a waiver wire run's happening or trades, and
it's true.
You feel like that puts you at a disadvantage sometimes?
No, it's maybe a little bit, yeah. But I'm pretty flexible with my schedule. I can move it around, trade. So I try to keep the important days off in the fall for the football.
Nice.
You got to have your priorities, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go.
It's all good.
We have another question in the chat here from Srikanth. What's up, Srikanth? What is Vegas thinking on Bell?
Well, if you saw last night, I passed on him. I took Gronk, and he went. He went a little bit later in the second round. Yesterday, the news was really bad on Bell, and they're saying his offensive linemen are kind of throwing him under the bus, saying, you know, you're either with the team or you're not. And I kind of heard that news, and I'm thinking he might be out 10 weeks or whatever. Yeah. And in this format, if I was going to take Bell, there's no guarantee I could get Connor, or somebody else would totally snipe Connor. So I stayed away. That was, I think it's all over the map. I know David Dobbs was talking about it last night. I think you got some guys that are like, he'll be back this week, next week. And other guys are saying, you know, who knows? So the first rounds, I wanted like stable, safe guys, as safe as you can get. So.
Oh, and I didn't want to pass over too quickly the comment about Devonta Freeman, because I did see another thing on Twitter. Pro Football Doc was saying there could be some lingering issue with his PCL to the point he might not be full strength all year. Do you think that was contributing to the slide too, or was that just because of his performance?
I think a little bit. It's the recency bias is real on the Thursday night. You know, last year Kareem Hunt went off, and he, you know, you guys probably saw he went like number 1 in a lot, which ended up not being too bad. But I think you might be right. I mean, they saw Freeman have like five red zone touches and didn't convert, and they saw Coleman coming in every other drive. So it's kind of an RBBC in a way. So I think maybe that was in the back of my mind. I wanted on the top rounds, I wanted a solid starting running back that wasn't going to share. No injury concerns, and you know that's rare these days. So I think that's part of it. And like I said, I think in this one it's hard to remember all the names, honestly.
What was the reaction to Ajayi's game? The 2 touchdowns, but
yeah, he didn't move up too much. I don't think he went in the 3rd round. I guess that's pretty good. I mean, that's higher than he's been going. I'm not a fan of Ajayi. I lived in Boise. He's a Boise State guy. I just think. I don't know. I think his knees are an issue, and he seems kind of a little bit of a head case, but who knows? You know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I know with the Bell stuff, it seems like we have seen some really high Connor reaches, but I've been hearing that those are from the Bell owners really being aggressive with the handcuff. But that seems to spend a 2nd and a 4th round pick or 5th on a backfield.
It's expensive.
That's very expensive.
That's expensive, and I think James Conner can do almost as good as Bell, you know, with that line and that teamwork. But and go if they get behind Connor, I think he'll do almost as well. And it seems like there's a lot of locker room stuff going on in Pittsburgh, and I just don't trust it. I'm staying away.
Yeah.
What's the latest you would not be able to pass on Bell? Like if he fell to you at a certain point, you got to take him, right?
Yeah, and you know, I guess it depends on the format. In a main event where you can't trade, so it's just waivers. So yeah, 3rd round. Late 3rd, I guess.
Yeah, it is tough. So, I mean, I feel like the thing we always wrestle with, obviously, it's different in that draft experts format. But Are we trying to win our league? Or are we trying to build a lineup that has a chance to win the overall top prize? And I feel like you can certainly have some overlap. You want a good team at the end of the day, but there is kind of that higher upside. What team can put up those mega points? And obviously a team with Bell in weeks 14 through 16 could really differentiate yourself.
That's true. And in the best ball, that one, you got to swing for the fences. You're either going to be, if you're not first, you're last, right? That's what Ricky Bobby says. So that's kind of how you got to attack that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you're out here for the high stakes drafts, are you locked and loaded, just focusing on drafting? You get a little fun in, go out, party?
Well, actually, I live here now.
Oh.
So I just drove down the hill. So
wow.
Yeah. Vegas is, I live in Henderson, just south of here. So, but no, usually we kind of hang out and have a little party. My friends came down last year and we pushed it up a little bit, but yeah, so I'm pretty much focused on this. The casinos don't really have a draw for me so much. So.
You do anything else like the sports contest or other sports betting?
Not really. I'll do some over-unders on the NFL, like total wins.
Yeah.
I've got the Browns over. I think I got 4.5. I took the over on that. So.
And that's moved up now.
It has moved up. That was a couple months ago, yeah.
Okay.
But just very little bit, not too much. This is mostly my gambling, doing these things. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Pat, what else you got for us here?
Anyone else you like for win totals this year?
For win totals?
Yeah, you haven't made your bets yet, so you're still trying to get intel.
I like the Chiefs and the Chargers going over. I think I'm not sure what the numbers are, but I think I got the Chargers winning their conference. So
yeah,
I don't know. I love the Chiefs. I think their defense stinks, and they got a gunslinger. So I think they're going to have the Drew Brees circa 4 years ago scenario where it's just going to be a shootout. And I think Mahomes is the only guy that can throw it 70 yards in the air. So Tyreek Hill's one of the only guys who can catch it. So I'm really focused on that, not to give away my strategy too much. But
yeah, I feel like I would love to be able to bet the Chiefs win total after their game this week.
Sure.
Because I feel like they're going to struggle against the Chargers.
Right.
And then maybe you could get some way better value on their number.
And win total is totally different than fantasy. Like, you can have some really good fantasy producers and they could win 2 games of the year.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Yeah, I placed a bet this morning. I took the Dolphins under at 6.5 for a Ryan Tannehill-led team that lost its top receiver.
Yeah,
Parker. It just felt like 7 wins is a little ambitious.
I agree with that one. I wonder what the Bills are at too. I'd take whatever it is. I'd take the under. Can you go under 1? I don't know if that's. I guess you can, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Well, I know. So the Bills one was a major in vogue pick at the beginning. We're getting heckled by our friend Matt. We'll get you on in a sec. Just slow your roll. And
guy's an animal.
He
really
is an understatement. Oh gosh. Now he's throwing balls at us.
Missed it. Live one.
Yeah, no, the Bills one opened up, I believe, at 6.5, and just every sharp bettor just started hammering it. And I think it came down, and then the vig on it, you have to like lay 160 to win 100.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
yeah, that is a popular one. It doesn't seem like it matters. Nathan Peterman, Josh Allen, they're gonna struggle.
I've got some other friends in town that they bet on like every college game. I got a friend who was on his phone betting the next play is going to be a run left or up to middle, like as the game's progress. So I won't name any names. It's another level. Yeah.
So let me ask you about your strategy for quarterback in these leagues.
Sure.
Because I think generally people wait probably a little bit longer in the main event than in home leagues, but sometimes you'll see guys get pushed way down into the teens, where they're taking their quarterback. So what is your general approach with quarterback?
I like to wait. And be in the middle of that if I can. If you're on the ends, you can't wait as long because you don't want to miss it. But I like to sneak in there and get a Matthew Stafford kind of. I'd like the 6th or 7th quarterback off the board. I want a quarterback that's got a bad defense and likes to just chuck it. So Stafford, Rivers. Last night I got Stafford, Rivers, and Tyrod Taylor for my best ball. So guys like that, exactly Mahomes. I had Drew Brees last year, and he killed me because I took him early. And they finally got their defense going, and they got the running game going.
Right.
So, and quarterback and for the main event, I'm probably going to wait as well. Yeah. And you can work the waiver wire. You can stream in those leagues. So,
yeah, I feel like we definitely always go really late. It does seem like a lot of sharp drafters have a range of quarterbacks like you were describing where they don't want to let go of that massive upside. They're looking at the Stafford, Mahomes, Garoppolo range where it seems like they feel if you wait too long, say the Eli Dalton, even though you're going to get cheap production, they don't think that has the upside to really
the
carry
ceiling.
You. Yeah,
sure. It was funny last night after the game in our draft, it got down pretty late, and the guy took Matt Ryan, and he was like, Matt Ryan,
the most resigned.
He held his head down in shame, So because you do get those 5 points, whatever he put up, you get those points from Thursday. So, but it was funny. Everybody kind of laughed at that. So
that is good. Yeah, it's that Thursday night. I mean, even if you want to be as objective as possible, it's still super hard to separate what you just saw. But I mean, sometimes the discounts are so good. Where did Tevin Coleman end up going?
He was right. I was just about to say he went 2 picks after Freeman in the 5th.
Okay.
Wow. So and I'm going to say Julio Jones went ahead of Antonio Brown and DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow.
He was the first receiver taken at pick 9, eight running backs. And then it goes Julio, Antonio Brown. And I went Kareem Hunt because
I just have to say, there's so many people on Twitter, and our friend Josh Hermsmeyer has a bit about never Julio because of his lack of red zone. I mean, Julio had 11 catches last night,
169 yards.
And people are still complaining. You guys are still complaining about his production because he did get at the end zone. Just take your 27 fantasy points and be happy. He's going to score a touchdown.
It looks like they're obviously running the offense for him, but the whole offense, the whole red zone thing was what the Falcons supposedly were focused on in the offseason. Like, we're gonna put all our efforts in this red zone offense, and it was like, So I don't know.
I just love the entitlement of fantasy owners to find ways to complain about what's going to end up being a top 5 wide receiver performance.
We'll complain about anything. It's like pilots complain about, if a pilot wins the lottery, he'll complain about the taxes. So you know how that goes. Yes,
Srikanth is letting us know that he also got robbed of a 52-yard catch in the game. I must have missed that, but I will take your word for it. I feel. Well, here I go, just calling people out for being entitled, and now I'm going to say...
That was the one that they didn't overturn, the one he had pinned on his helmet.
The pinned on his helmet, exactly. That, that's an infamous one. But, it was a little bit of a boring game last night to kick us off.
The first half especially.
Yeah.
And at some point, there were more penalties than points going on, or was it something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, we were really rooting, as drafting our main event team Saturday for some big fantasy performances, shoot guys up to maybe push more guys down to us. But I think Ajayi is going to move up a little.
Yes.
But
Ertz
otherwise,
isn't going to move up the way we were hoping.
Yeah, what was Ertz's final line?
He did. I think he got like 10 points fantasy-wise. I'm not sure. He had a couple catches in the second half. I think that's what Atlanta did on defense was we're going to shut down Ertz. And that's why Aguilar got peppered, I think. I think their whole strategy was to shut down Ertz. And until Ajayi got on track, I mean, that would have worked because the running game was, Foles looked terrible. And I think Atlanta's defense was working because they were shutting down Ertz. But, I don't know. I think Ertz will be fine. I don't know.
Where did Ertz go? Did he go ahead of Kelsey?
Let's see. Phone. He went after Kelsey. Kelsey went at the 2:12, and Ertz went at the 3:2.
Pat and I are starting to get our hopes up a little bit. We pick 101, and then obviously have the 212. We're really kind of hoping Kelsey falls to us.
Are you guys main event Saturday?
Yes.
10 o'clock in the morning?
No, 2.
Oh, okay. No, I'm 10, so I was going to say. Tell me more of your strategies.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Well, that's the thing. We've been pretty public with our wants and desires. So if someone was actually in our league, they could pretty much know our thought process on every single thing.
Right.
Well, it's so funny because I listen to all the podcasts. I have a bunch of favorites, but David Dodds was on talking to you guys, and that's why I think I showed you the board on Twitter, and it was like he was talking up Cole, talking up all these Gronk, go Gronk early and all this. So that's basically what I did, but I did it after he talked about it. So I was like,
you were in before the Dodds ADP bump,
right? Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah.
No, I think Cole's going to smash this year. If you listen to Matt Kelly he loves Cole.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I agree with a lot of that stuff. So.
Yeah, no, we were talking with the guys before, and Keelan Cole, we had someone in the chat asking where he's going. Everybody's interested in Keelan Cole. I think one guy, I understand the enthusiasm around Cole.
Yeah.
It seems like, and I know he's a little hurt coming into the season, but ASJ seems he's a little undervalued right now.
I got him in the he's my second tight end, round 12.
Right.
Nice.
So yeah. I think he is undervalued. I think he's looked good in camp, and he had a lot of issues early in his career, and I think he's worked through them. So we'll see. Jacksonville's going to try to run the ball and play defense.
Yeah.
But red zone targets, Dante Moncrief, who knows with him. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see that.
We asked Dodds this last night. Who else is someone, say, after round 10 or 11 in all your drafts, you wouldn't mind coming away from him, having kind of huge exposure to a late round guy?
Well, I seem to always end up with Taywan Taylor from Tennessee. He's kind of the slot receiver there. I think that he looked really good at the end of last year and in the preseason. He had a game with 2 touchdowns, and he looks more explosive, I think, than Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews kind of injured a little bit, and I'm kind of hoping that the Titans turn around a little bit with the new coaching, the new all that. So I like Taywan Taylor. Who else am I getting all the time? I don't know. I mean, a lot of it, I think I'm pretty chalk. Otherwise, I got my guys. I like Paul Richardson.
Yeah,
that's a guy with.
He's really cheap.
He's cheap. Yeah, I got him last night in round 16. So, I mean, he could be the number 1 receiver in Washington, and Alex Smith proved that he can chuck it last year. So, we'll see.
Yeah, he seems way too cheap for what his role is and what he's shown he can do. He has great hands at the catch point. Some of those contested catches he made with Russell Wilson is incredible.
He's got the catch radius is like Spider-Man. So
yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, AP, but are they going to run the ball all the time there or not? I mean, I think they're going to have to throw it.
I don't think they can.
Yeah,
he's going to hold up to that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's
either.
a really interesting offense without Geis and so many new pieces. It's hard to know, and Reed, you never know what you're going to get from him.
If he's healthy, he's great. But I don't trust Doxson either. So I think it's going to come down to Crowder, Richardson, and Reed.
Yeah.
So
that's what you got to do. You got to find these gems in the late rounds, and if you can get a starter out of maybe two of them, you're in really, really good shape.
Yep.
You see, but I gambled last night. Taking Gronk in the second, you pay a price for it. My RB2 is Peyton Barber. So all my flexes are going to be wide receivers, and I took Ryan Griffith. That's another guy that I kind of keep an eye on. He's in Houston, and he didn't play last year, I don't think, because he was hurt. But before that, he was balling out. And if Deshaun Watson is going to be the mega quarterback, it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the rookie tight end. I think it's going to be Ryan Griffin. So
was it Dodds that was talking?
I was mentioning him last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I feel in years past, it's always been a little bit of a mess because CJ Fedorowicz was there.
Yeah.
But now he's gone.
Right.
I don't think there's another tight end that's going to compete for targets.
Right.
And I feel like they could have a really concentrated offense with Fuller, Hopkins. I know Kiki Kuti, some people think he might get that slot role, but Griffin could theoretically be the third option in that passing offense. And if Watson is as good as he looked, that could be another steal.
I think so.
Late in drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very interested in the late round tight ends because if we miss out on Kelsey, we're thinking a lot of those tight ends we like, Njoku, they're going to be too rich for our blood.
Njoku's shooting up.
He's shooting way up, and we're starting to consider just waiting. I mean, we're talking like round 12 and 13 and beyond.
Ricky Seals-Jones, Nick Vannett. I like those two.
Vannett. Give us your case for Vannett. I haven't heard his name mentioned.
Seattle, Jimmy Graham left. Paul Richardson left. Baldwin is, by his own admission, 85% or whatever. It comes up with that number. Lockett is supposed to have a big year, but who's the red zone target? Brandon Marshall. He didn't, he looked washed up last year, but and Vannett had a touchdown catch in the preseason. He just looked like he's been in the offense now for a couple years, and they like him. And that, I don't think they'd let Jimmy Graham go if they didn't think they could get some production out of him. So, he's, I consider him a late round sleeper, but I got sniped. He went in round 16. So, yeah.
And what about Ed Dixon though? He's there too, and I see him getting drafted.
I think he's more of a blocking tight end, honestly. I think Vanette's the move tight end. I don't think Dixon has the hands I don't know. I think he went undrafted last night, maybe.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. That's my team. My wife's family is from Seattle, and I claim the Seahawks, and I couldn't be from Seattle too. It whatever. But so I don't know what they're doing. They draft Rashad Penny in the first round, and they have no offensive line, and Russell Wilson's just going to run around. We're going to run the ball. Really? I don't know. And now I got Chris Carson, and he's my third running back. So we'll see.
I still can't decide what was weirder, the Carson pick or the Sony Michelle pick.
Right. You mean the Penny?
Yeah, Michelle pick was a stranger to me personally. But
how are you playing that New England backfield? Because all three of those guys are getting drafted in pretty premium rounds.
Right.
And there is production to go around, but some's got to give there.
I love him in best ball, but in seasonal leagues, I hate the Patriots running backs because you never know. Right. You never know. Belichick hates your fantasy team with a passion. So I was trying. A lot of my strategy was to get Rex Burkhead and James White in the best balls. But last night, I mean, it was just the running backs were flying off the board. I didn't get it done. So if in the main event, I don't know. I might stay away. So I just hate the lineup decision. And then you leave Burkhead out, and then he goes off, and you put him in the next week, and he gets 2 points, and you're just really. So
yeah, it does really see. And I mean, I didn't even mention Jeremy Hill. He could literally be the goal line guy.
Yeah, he's sneaking around, and Sony's going to come back maybe eventually and be healthy. I don't know. Yeesh.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's a mess. That's for sure. I mean, but that's like the most well-worn trope of the New England backfield's a headache, but there is production there if you can identify where the values are.
Best ball's the way to go.
Someone can monopolize the touchdowns like Blunt did in years past.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hard to know if Michelle is going to be able to get in the good graces, stay healthy, be trusted in that offense. And if he does, then it's a true mess. If not, I think it can thin out a little bit.
It's a quandary. Was it last year Gillislee had like 4 touchdowns, had some big game like in week 1? And then he disappeared.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gillislee, he is rumored to kind of be that Mark Ingram back these first 4 weeks. Everyone wanted it to be Jonathan Williams.
I had him on my team I drafted a week ago or whatever, Jonathan Williams. Yeah. On my football guys team. So yeah.
Where how aggressive are people drafting Gillislee?
Well, not super. He didn't go to round 17 last night. And this is running backs were flying off the board. So he went late. And let's see who got him. Yeah, not the Kamara. Team 4 got Kamara Ingram, and Gillislee was just grabbed late by somebody. So that's a neat play because they don't have literally anybody else there for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're going to run the ball and play defense.
Yeah.
So.
Well, excellent, Sean. We appreciate you swinging by.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Let's make sure that this guy
Darth Tater.
Some proper camera time right here. Love it. Yeah, I mean, they can have the boobs name. I'd rather have Darth.
Exactly.
Darth Tater.
That's been my call sign ever since the original. You guys gamers, the original Xbox came out back in whenever.
Yeah.
I got Darth Tater as my call sign, and that's it's kind of a thing. So
I like it. The high stakes drafter, the pilot, Mr. Darth Tater himself, Sean Bosely. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Appreciate it.
Good luck with the
rest
of your
Nice to meet you guys.
draft. Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you for those questions in the chat. We're going to stay live here. These drafts are the morning set of drafts, I believe, started at 10. So those are wrapping up, and then we have another set starting at 1:30 or 2, I think. So yeah, we'll have lots of people swinging on by here, and yeah, Pat, I feel like we have lots to. In years past, we've had kind of a night where we kind of just for like 2 or 3 hours really went over. I don't know if we're going to have that time.
We should probably
this year.
Try.
I mean,
because we still have some questions to work out.
We still have some questions. I feel like our biggest thing we're trying to figure out, honestly, is kind of positional allocation and where the sweet spots are for those positions.
Right.
And I think we have kind of settled on, we really like the round 10 through 12 for kind of our final 0 running back.
Love the rounds 10 through 12 for running back targets. Love them.
Yeah, so Rashad Penny is falling to the 10th.
Nick Chubb
to the 11th, and then everyone's least favorite rookie,
Ronald Jones.
Pat and I we have not soured at that price.
Not at all.
Ronald Jones. And
Jones sort of the line of demarcation for us. Where after Jones, it dries up, and I think you start to look at guys who are maybe just more handcuffy types. Chase Edmonds is going a few rounds after, right? But he probably won't have. He's not going to break out and take that job, or Jones could. So
yeah,
while the odds of Jones breaking out and take the job look to have lowered over the course of the preseason, there's still that chance. So I love him in round 12, and I think we'll be able to get him there.
Yeah, and so I think, what would you say? I feel like tight end, it's pretty. We want Kelsey. If we don't get Kelsey, I think we are. Are you pretty much, unless there's an insane value, trying to wait till maybe that 13th or later to go for it?
I am. I think we had talked about Njoku dropping. That's probably not going to happen. Reed dropping. That doesn't seem like that's going to happen either. So it gets tough in those middle rounds, just where we are in the ends of the draft. We'd probably need to be in the middle of the round to really have a shot at getting a tight end that we like at a value we like.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a tight end at 6-7. There's likely going to be some more running back value there. That's another pocket that we've identified as a spot where running backs might be there for us. Jamal Williams was just there in a draft today in the 7th round, which I would love. So
yeah, that would be a dream pick.
Yeah.
And I feel that actually surprised me. You know, everyone this year, and especially is running back crazy. The running backs are way pushed up, but that actually seems like a very nice deal on Jamal Williams. And I'll tell you right now, I'm feeling very relieved. I do have the stomach for 0 RB. I've done it in a lot of my redraft leagues, but just knowing in this format that we have Gurley locked up and that all we need to fill, if we need, is a RB2 spot at most. And that is, like, you know, in years past, we've tried to cobble together some really weak, our first 0 RB targets that just couldn't do it for us.
Yeah. Jeremy Hill,
Ariad Foster.
Yeah.
In the 5th. So yeah, I'm feeling very good about our chances out of the, you know, 6 or 7 stabs we're going to take to get one other guy that's startable. And I think one of the things we were talking about last night are the different types of 0 running back candidates. Obviously, when you get to the Chubbs, the Ronald Jones, the Pennies, you're going to have to wait a little bit for that to materialize.
Gurley lets you do that.
Right.
You've got Gurley, then you've got at least one running back in the 6-7 turn, maybe 2. Then we can afford to take luxury picks in that range. You don't have to take, you know, like Bilal Powell's.
I like Bilal, yeah.
I like him, but I don't think he has quite the upside, you know, of a Chubb.
Right.
So,
and that's where I think we have to find the sweet spot of, I don't think you want all those scratch off guys that aren't going to give you immediate production, but you don't want to just have all Duke Johnsons, Bilal Powells, James White's, whose role is ultimately capped.
Right. And I think the 6-7 round range is where we're looking to get some guys who are maybe a little bit less upside potentially, depending on who is available there, but guys that are going to probably get production right out of the gate, going to be in the RB2 flex conversation for us immediately, and then we can look at the scratch off in the 10 through 12 range.
Who are your favorite 0 RB targets that would, I think we, as gross as it looks, I think we still kind of want to take wide receiver shots in the 4th and 5th. So who are your realistic but ideal targets in the 6th and the 7th if we do go running back there?
Well, Jamal's the number 1. I think another guy, and this actually goes a little bit against the point that I was just making of these guys being startable right away, is Kerryon Johnson going in that range. I would like him a lot.
I feel like we're mind meld because those would have been the 2 I would have said if you would have asked me.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, with Kerryon, you're going to have to wait a little bit, but I think he's going to be involved from the beginning and then hopefully take over more and more of the running back touches there. So, but if we ended up with, let's say, you know, best case scenario, we end up with both those guys, we're not feeling like we have to start Kerryon right away because we've already got Gurley, we got Jamal. Hopefully through 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 4 wide receivers we can start. And that's our whole lineup outside of tight end, quarterback, kicker. So
yeah,
defense.
Yep. And you know, one of the things we've been talking about, we talked about it with Sean Siegel on our High Stakes Diaries episode last week about that there is that value then in rounds 8, 9, and 10. You're seeing the Keelan Cole, the Aguilar. I think Fuller's going a little earlier than that. Maybe you can get a Robbie Anderson there.
Would be nice there.
So I think we are starting to feel the flow of our draft shaping up.
Right. What worries me a little bit is what happens if the running backs in 6-7 get snapped up and we're left looking at, you know, maybe wide receivers that we're not as crazy about there, or at that point, do we pivot and look at the tight end position? So I think if everything falls the way we're hoping it falls, I think we're in great shape. But if we get thrown a bunch of curveballs, I'm a little bit worried about how we're going to be able to handle those.
Yeah.
And that's probably why we need to stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning tonight. And,
yeah.
Drink some beers and talk about it.
I do agree. There can definitely be curveballs in these drafts, but I feel we know we have Gurley locked and loaded, and we know that we're going to, hey, you want to come over here and chop it up with us? Oh, no. Yeah. Come chat with us for a little bit here. But I just feel confident that we are going to get a stable of wide receivers that are going to help us fill out 4 weekly, and we're going to have Gurley. And I really think the rest will work itself out with the onesie positions. And
I love the late round. You know, this all started at you're asking if I felt comfortable waiting until like the teens to take a tight end. I do, and I feel more and more comfortable as we talk to some of the smartest drafters out here. You know, we just got some more great tips here on Nick Vannett
Yeah.
Griffin has come up multiple times.
Yeah.
Ricky Seals-Jones is the guy that we already think about a little bit, but
yeah, I would feel completely fine coming out of our draft with, say, ASJ and Ryan Griffin, or Ricky Seals-Jones and Ryan Griffin.
Yeah, and we know we're going to be active on the waiver wire and picking up guys who may emerge, may get dropped as bye weeks kick in. So,
and it is, tight end, I would say, of all the positions, is the most random. You're often looking for touchdowns to kind of save your week. And there is, just having done it 2 years in a row, it is a place where you can find a mid to back end tight end 2. So I'm talking like tight end 16 and on. Those types are available on the waiver wire.
They are, yeah.
They don't grow on trees, but they throughout the season emerge. And if you prioritize them, you can do it. And I'm okay, going in that direction. I would rather look at my lineup and feel super strong everywhere else than, in years past, we've been so hard pressed to find a RB on the waiver wire just for pure production, not even upside. We famously spent half our budget on Dwayne Washington.
Oh, yeah.
And what did he give us? Like one start?
I think so.
One start. Yeah. Oh, we got more footballs here. Look at this. This year at the FFPC drafts, we have Nerf footballs. I feel like this is a little dangerous on their part. Maybe these little flag football game breaks out in the lobby, but pretty good swag, I would say.
Yeah.
I'll have to see. This would have been fun in the pool yesterday.
Yeah, we should.
Although that lifeguard would have for sure blown the whistle.
Good point. She was a little whistle happy.
Yeah, so it's like the most chill pool vibe. Everyone just kind of on the the outer ring of the pool, not much going on. And there'd just be like a guy that would jump in and she'd immediately blow the whistle. And there would be no follow-up, no consequences. Just, I was like, oh yeah, there's a lifeguard here. So yeah, I don't know. Planet Hollywood, if you're looking to get rowdy at the pool, this is not your casino, folks. Not your casino. They keep things safe.
But yeah, one more point on tight end. This might not. This could just be the way it worked out for us the first year. But when we look at our draft from 2016, and we had Delaney Walker in the 5th round, that was actually a pick that worked out for us, but it didn't really make any difference for us. It just
I thought we got what we paid for.
We got like what we paid for.
Yeah.
But it just, my feeling in general is that if we get a Kelsey at 212, that has potential for ceiling beyond that draft slot for sure. But then when you get in the middle rounds, I think you're kind of just looking to get that position covered and get the production so you don't have to worry about it so much. But I'd rather take a shot at a guy who could potentially have more upside for us. I think that's the big thing. It's harder to see, especially the last couple of years. We haven't seen these tight end types of breakouts or performances outside of the really high end guys where it's really making a huge difference for you.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, everyone has their eyes set on the same sexy breakout tight end candidates, the Trey Burtons, the Njokus. Of course, it's like you do the standard league drafts or your home league drafts, and you can get those guys late or for $1 in an auction. When you're out here and it's the 1.5 tight end premium scoring, I mean, there are no secrets. Everyone knows, and everyone's gunning for who is that. We talked about it with Sean, like in our Evan Ingram. Who is the tight end that could make that jump into being the Kelsey or 2nd round tight end next year? And I think we all agree Burton and Njoku have that upside, but you got to pay for it.
Right. And Ingram has that upside.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But you're almost paying for that now. I mean, he's going in the 4th round.
Yeah.
In draft. So
it was interesting to hear Dodd say he was so on Jimmy Graham last night. I feel like people are kind of cooling on him, thinking of him as more touchdown dependent. He did look washed last year with Graham. But we've seen what Aaron Rodgers has done with James Jones and these other guys who literally had no more athleticism. And still, if they're on the same page, they can do the back shoulder throws, the contested catches, which Jimmy Graham has proven to be able to do. So there is a path to 10 touchdowns pretty realistically.
There definitely is. Yeah. I'm definitely in agreement, though, with kind of the worries about him being able to produce yardage wise. And so I think with Graham, you're banking on the touchdowns. You really can't bet on much else. I do think that post that injury, that was patella tendon tear, I believe.
Yeah.
Same injury Cruz had. And I think that's a pretty devastating injury for being able to have the same amount of athleticism. So he's still big, though. He's still big, and he's still with a quarterback who's arguably the best in the league and not too much else in the red zone to compete with. So
I feel like we haven't talked about quarterback a ton just because I know both of us are pretty comfortable waiting. But I do want to who is the earliest? Where's the earliest you would want to take a quarterback? Say if a surprising name fell, what round?
I don't even know that I could. You'd have to have Rodgers fall or something for me to want to take a quarterback outside of the back half of the draft. It's really the earliest I would want to take a guy is round 12 if the running back pocket that we talked about has dried up. So let's say hopefully we did get 2 of the guys that we're looking in that range, but now we're looking at 12 and the running backs are gone. Another wide receiver that we like in that range, DJ Moore, is also gone, let's say.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at a quarterback who's there that's slipped a little bit. That would be where I would want to take quarterback, quote unquote, early. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say too, was I was thinking like the 13th round after, if we ideally can get our final 0 running back targets, I would be willing to take a look there. The guy, I mentioned him on our last week's episode of High Stakes Diaries, is I like Jared Goff a lot. I've seen him go in the 15th.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. I would be very excited to get Goff in the 14th or 15th.
Yep.
I also love his opening start to the season. He has the Raiders this week, who they do not look good. They just traded away their best defensive player.
Roto World is fully tilted on the Raiders right now. It's kind of a joy to read any Raiders blurb.
Yeah, and the other thing we were talking about, an underrated aspect of having Goff, and I've been thinking about the Rams as a team that could even have a secondary breakout where Goff takes another step. We would essentially lock up every single Rams touchdown with Gurley and Goff.
Right.
Other than, say, a backup John Kelly rush, or we would have all the offensive production, which I would be excited about locking that up. And I think it also gives us the type of lineup that can really succeed in the final playoff rounds. Do you have that schedule? They have the I might go over here and grab one of those printouts. I wanted to look at the Rams playoff schedule.
Yeah, look at you. Sean Siegel was talking about how we're going to be looking at the schedule. Pete kind of mocked the idea that we would be looking that far ahead, but we're doing it. We're putting in our homework, and by the time we draft, maybe we'll actually know who these teams are playing. All right, let's take a look at this. The Rams. I still look for St. Louis first. I got to get that out of my head.
Those of you guys still holding it down here in the chat, if you have any questions for us, we're going to get a couple more high stakes players on here soon. These early drafts are wrapping up, so you won't be stuck just listening to us ramble. Don't you worry. All right, so we're looking at the Rams schedule here. So week 14 at Chicago, home versus Philly, at Arizona. I feel like that's a little tough. The at Chicago Philly combo is a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
But then otherwise, I feel like the schedule isn't too bad.
So one thing that just looking at the schedule here, we were talking a little bit about this, but I think we're talking about it off air, was the Kelsey slip might be somewhat due to the fact that he has that week 12 bye, and people are starting to realize, because that's the first week of the playoffs in the FFPC. So
yeah, and that's, again, it goes back to constructing your team with a blend of players, right? I mean, you're going to get 11 straight weeks from Kelsey. That's going to really build a really strong foundation for your team and make you competitive for a long time. And we were just talking about the depth at tight end and finding a bye week fill. And even though it's the playoffs, that seems manageable to me. And it provides a way for a fast start and for you to build wins early. So I'm happy to take that discount, even if we don't get Kelsey. The dream is to have one of the top 2 buys, right? And then your buy syncs up with Kelsey's buy.
Right.
That's where it really works out.
Right. Well, the Rams have the same buy, so you could potentially, you're really swinging for the fences if you go Goff, Kelsey, Gurley. You better have a buy.
Right. If you need a win going into that week, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Or you just navigated the schedule perfectly. All right, we got another question in the chat here. Thomas Moscato still holding it down for us. If available, would you go Henry or Lewis? I assume talking about the Titans backfield at the 4-5 turn. Do you think Tennessee can support 2 running backs like the Saints last year? Pat, what are your thoughts?
So I think the 4-5 turn is a spot that we almost haven't been talking about because we're so nervous about how it might turn out. Personally, if I was going to take one of those running backs there, it would be Lewis. Henry's not someone that I've been targeting at all, just because I'm not sure about the offensive output for the Titans, and I think Henry's limited. So if the offense as a whole isn't putting up a ton of touchdowns, then I think that'll really hurt Henry. Whereas Lewis, I think he's going to be handling the passing role and has potential to do more than that. I think Lewis is probably an underrated player in general. So Lewis would be my strong preference there. I wouldn't want to lock up both personally.
Yeah, it does feel pricey for Henry. Again, you're kind of paying a premium price on a handcuff type production. And I know we've all salivated over Derrick Henry's potential for a long time, but at some point you just have to come to grips with that. Unless there's an injury, that's not the role he's going to play. And if he didn't, he couldn't run away with the job with DeMarco Murray, was literally on his final legs.
Yeah.
And Dion Lewis is a much better back than, I mean, Dion Lewis, everyone remembers that breakout season with the Pats. He had broke PFF's elusive ranking.
Yeah.
And he's, I know on Matt Kelly's site, Player Profiler, they kind of profile the type of backs, and he's the smallest, the last guy that meets the threshold for a bell cow back, the guy that can catch passes and still be your goal line guy as well. So Lewis, he's a problem for Henry. He's a big problem.
I agree. Yeah.
And I agree with Pat. If I was forced to go one of those guys, I would rather go Lewis than Henry. But I don't think Pat and I are going to be looking at a running back there unless there was kind of a crazy value. I think the idea, our worst case scenario that we've been floating, we have a few different scenarios.
Yeah.
One, we have a split the baby.
Well, this isn't a worst case scenario. This is almost like
mid.
People kind of drop to us.
Right.
So our split the baby would be Engram and Jarvis Landry.
Right. And I would be I would just be head over heels rushing to the podium to give Jarvis Landry a pick there. I know you're more down on him. And then I'm a little more down on Engram. We talked about that with Sean Siegel. But I would be willing to, as we said, King Solomon, split the baby there. Engram, Jarvis. The other idea we floated out the other night, I believe we were both on our flights to Vegas.
Yeah.
And I wrote, Pat, what about this? The YOLO 4-5 strategy, which is the Josh Gordon, Corey Davis. We'll stay on your Titans, Moscato there, and just hope one of those guys who both have the potential to be a top 10 could deliver on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in some ways, even though that's less value because those guys are going later, whereas Engram and Landry are typically going earlier. In some ways, I like that more than our split the baby, in particular because we get Gordon over Landry, which is an obvious pick there. Got to go Gordon over Landry.
What if there's a scenario where Landry? Is there a scenario where we go Landry and Gordon?
No, there isn't. We can't do that. That's not YOLO. That's almost like you're hedging. You don't hedge with a bad team's offense.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it either, but I still trust that you will come around on the idea of being excited about Landry at 412. That's just a ton of targets at that price.
I'm willing to admit that there could be a ton of targets, but they'll probably.
We can't get into this. We already made our bet last night, but yeah, I wouldn't be upset. There are worse. The thing about that is a lot of the guys that we like, they go right at 410. There's a run on receivers.
Allen Robinson was going, it looked like right around 412, 501 that turn.
Yeah.
And that has changed. It looks like he's going a bit earlier, mid fourth to early fourth now. He's someone I was really hoping would be there. But when we talk about, we've had this debate a little bit, but you talk about the potential for a ton of targets. To me, Robinson has that potential, and an offense that could be a lot more improved than I think the Browns offense will be. So I really hope he falls.
Yeah.
If he fell, would he be where are you on Robinson? We haven't talked about him recently as he's moved up a little bit.
Yeah, he's another guy that I think so. I guess my dream, my favorite targets would be if somehow Hogan or Landry fell. But after that, I'm on board with Robinson. I wouldn't mind, again, any combo of Robinson Gordon, Robinson Davis, that kind of
I strongly prefer
combination.
Robinson over Davis.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think we've seen Allen Robinson do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Hogan if he's there at 412?
I like Hogan there. I think, Sean Siegel made a pretty compelling point on Hogan. It's sort of you're playing for the beginning of the season more so than the end of the season because Edelman will be back, obviously, and you've got Hogan in those early weeks is probably going to be his max production, and that's not when you need it. You want guys who are going to be peaking for you at the end of the season, mid to end of the season, and Hogan might be kind of petering out at that point with Edelman returning. So my enthusiasm for Hogan has faded a little bit. I think when you first floated his name, I wasn't that enthusiastic, and then I kind of got more excited about it, but Sean threw a little bit of cold butter on him for me. So the thing is, I kind of doubt we have the chance to take him. But if we did get Hogan over Corey Davis, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I think at this point, though, I'd rather have Josh Gordon than Chris Hogan.
And again, it keeps going back to that thing I was saying about the type of players as far as fast starts versus that late season. And again, I really like the idea of having kind of a blend. Hogan clearly falls in that fast start category.
Absolutely.
I think he could give you he would in that situation could theoretically be our wide receiver 4.
Right.
And that would be a pretty hammer wide receiver 4 for those first 4 weeks. And obviously he's not just going to disappear, but of course you've got to account for the target reduction when Edelman comes back. But again, you could do a lot worse there, I think. And as I've said, we have struggled with fast starts in this league. So I wouldn't mind prioritizing a couple guys like that who could help us, start 3-1.
It's a good point. Yeah. And I think, especially depending on how the rest of our starts lined up. I mean, you could be looking at Hogan. Hogan could be your wide receiver 4 in terms of the order that you drafted them in, but he could potentially be your wide receiver 1 through those first couple weeks. So Hogan, I'm definitely, I'll put it this way. If Hogan's there for us at 4-5, I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable than I expect to feel at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as it is, when you look at most of these boards, it's like Juju, Hogan, Landry, they just go boom, boom, boom in that mid 4th. And that's why we've really been praying for whether it's James Conner rocketing up into the 4th or from last night, Ajayi moving up, just giving us a little extra.
I think he might go before the 4-12. I mean, it seems like he's going in the 3rd to the 4th now. I think we were hoping that Ertz would come in and push Kelsey down or AJ Green down to us for the 2-12. I don't think that'll happen, but I think Ajayi might at least give us one more guy a little bit lower for us in the 4-5 turn.
Yeah. Actually, we got 2017 OT in the chat saying, was Darth Tater your best guest ever? I think so. So this was either Sean Bosely himself just signing on to make this comment. No, I actually agree. Sean is great. I can't believe that he juggles being a pilot.
That's nuts.
And doing high stakes drafts, especially because so much of.
Did you believe him that he doesn't check his waiver wires while he's flying?
I really want to believe him for the sake of
I think I believed him.
For the public that's flying on his flights. That feels like an episode of The League. Right. The pilot who's catching.
You're sitting on the tarmac waiting to take off because he's setting his lineup.
Yeah. I mean, there are legit situations. The FFPC has their waiver set up really nicely where it's, Wednesday and Saturday nights where it processes and it kind of takes away that first come, first serve, the mad dash.
Yeah.
Where there can be news that breaks. All of a sudden, a guy's suspended and his handcuffed running back.
Right.
And it's just whoever's first and ready.
I never liked that. Liked that. It should be, there should be multiple runs of free agent auction bidding. That's how waivers should always be done, in my opinion.
I am pretty convinced that was Sean Bosely because he's now saying the plane basically flies itself.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, Sean, we're continuing our interview with Sean through his anonymous YouTube handle. But, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that there's a cruise control option. I don't know why you shouldn't be able to pull up your phone and submit some waiver
Wi-Fi.
claims.
I mean,
yeah,
you might as well use it.
That's right. Yeah, I feel good about our draft. I actually think the thing we need to nail down the most is actually kind of like rounds 14 through
JK,
20.
The
Wi-Fi sucks on the plane. Yeah. Don't you think like rounds 14 through 20 are kind of nailing down who are our super late round targets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to get that a little bit more set, and I think we need to have some sort of contingencies there. So, like, for example, if we end up with Kelsey, we don't need to hammer tight end in that range quite so much, although it would be nice to get a couple of those guys like a Severian Jenkins in that range. Would still be really nice. But we probably don't need to go with a deeper guy like Vanette, for example, if we already have a Kelsey. But, we do, I think, if we don't end up with a Kelsey or a tight end falling to us in the 8th or 9th, then we need to figure out who we're prioritizing as our tight end targets in that range. That's really important. And then just figuring out who those late round wide receivers that we want are and where we pick them. So Paul Richardson is a guy whose name is just keeps coming up in conversations that we've had, in the last 2 conversations we've had here with David and Sean. Yeah. So he's someone I definitely want. I think the question is, where do we take him? Because potentially you could get him in the 18th, but maybe you get him. Maybe we reach a bit to, like, let's say the 16th, just to make sure we get him. That's where Sean got him in his bare knuckles draft. So.
Yeah, Sean had a great series of articles this year, and Paul Richardson was one of his 5th-year breakout candidates. He talked a lot about how these are the guys that they're off their rookie contract. They've changed teams. They have a change of scenery. And so his candidates were Paul Richardson. This was before the injury, but he had Marquise Lee, Dante Moncrief. This was before his release, Martavis Bryant. And so of those, I think Richardson is by far the most intriguing. Like we said with Bosely, he's looked good. Alex Smith can play, and he's dirt cheap.
Yep, he's so cheap.
He's really cheap.
And, the thing with the FFPC, I think, is that sometimes you got to figure out the types of guys who are available in certain ranges. And whereas, like, in other leagues or like your home league or whatever, you can get some of these running back targets really late in drafts. That's not the case out here.
Yeah.
The running backs get snapped up, and if you're taking running backs in like the 16th, 17th round, it's true handcuffs, guys where you need a major injury for them to emerge. But there's usually some wide receiver values late in the draft, and it's not as sexy. You're not looking at guys who are going to be total league winners, but you're looking at guys who can be flexible for you throughout the year. So you have to lower your expectations a little bit because the drafters out here are just so sharp. But, last year we got Nelson Aguilar really late in the draft. And I think
we started in probably 4 or 5 weeks, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. He didn't make our team or anything, but he certainly improved it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the type of guy that Richardson could be this year.
Yeah. And it's also, I think we've used this language in the past of like take a peek at a guy, where Richardson is one of those guys where we're going to quickly be able to see, based on his snaps and some of his early targets, like what his role is going to look like. And maybe Alex Smith is spreading the ball around so much with Crowder and Reed and using Chris Thompson that he's not a guy that we think has the upside to continue to roster. But we get that cheap,
right?
Take a peek, and then we can cut him and move on to, say, a tight end or a 0 RB target that we like. He can be a guy that you churn, but you get that peak like we did last year with Aguilar, and we're like, oh, wow, he's going to be a factor. He's going to lead this team in snaps or whatever it may be. And then there's basically zero risk basically at that price.
Yeah, and I think that's unsettled wide receiver situations are really good ways to take a peek, because you'll get a sense pretty quickly how the team plans to deploy their wide receivers in terms of the target share. So the Dallas wide receivers would be another place where we could get any number of them late, really, and then take a peek to see if we were right about who the target leader is going to be. If not, get them off our team quickly. I think in some ways having guys that you aren't going to be hanging on to for 4 or 5 weeks to start the season, and you're going to feel comfortable cutting after a week or two, is actually really nice. You don't have these roster cloggers. You want to be nimble. You want to be agile to start the season on waivers, and to be able to turn the bottom of the roster, I think, is pretty crucial. So I think wide receivers that you're just taking shots at to see if the target shares there are good plays at the end of the draft. I mean, the guys we just had on, DJ Chark at the end, I mean, that's, I think, another kind of take a peek guy. He's not necessarily someone that's been floating around for me too much in my head, but yeah, it's the same kind of philosophy, I think.
And I would say, as far as a take a peek from that same team, and Sean had him as one of his 5th-year breakouts, I wouldn't mind a Dante Moncrief either as a take a peek, because that, I would say that Jacksonville situation, that'll probably be one of the more interesting to see the snap counts in the targets, because there's a lot of uncertainty between D.D. Westbrook, Moncrief, Cole, and then of course Chark, how that's going to play out. And I mean, they paid Moncrief a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the end all be all for what production and usage is going to be, but at least shows that they value him and what he can bring to that team. And I think he would be like, if we are trying to pencil ourselves in for, say, a late wide receiver, like say if Paul Richardson isn't there, I wouldn't mind Moncrief as the consolation prize late round guy.
What do you think of David Dodd's idea of kind of going after an entire wide receiver core? Like, he suggested you could potentially do with the Cowboys, because all of those guys are cheap. So it's like, it's sort of the take a peek plus element where it's like you're guaranteed to cut some of these guys. So you're quote unquote burning picks, but the picks are, have such a little value inherent to them anyway, that if you can take all of them, you're also almost guaranteeing yourself some production from one of them. So
it can be, I think, tricky. It's not as easy as say like a running back situation where you have the starter and the bell cow or the handcuff. And if the starter goes down, you're going to get 90% of the production.
But that's why they're available at the end of the draft.
That's why they're available. With wide receivers, there's always the risk that the target share is completely smoothed out and they both cancel each other out as being a usable, startable option.
That's true.
Like if you grab, say, Gallup and Allen Hurns, and they're just not passing enough to support two wide receivers, but they're getting similar targets, then you got to drop them both.
That's definitely a possibility. And one reason that we're not trying to, let's say, cover the Bills wide receivers, right? Like, I think you have to do it with a team where you have reasonable expectations that they're going to be able to support at least one startable fantasy passing option. And I do think that the Cowboys, if they have someone who emerges as a target leader, that target leader will be startable in fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think the Jaguars could be the same way. I'm actually probably a little bit more concerned about just a flattened target share on the Jaguars than I'm on the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys hopefully will have one guy emerge.
All right.
A little bit more easily.
Oh, we're going to bring a couple troublemakers onto the show right now. Oh man. Is this a Here you go. Here's a mic. Come sit down, fellas. Okay. Get on mic. Get on mic.
He is fucking pissed, dude.
All right, we are joined right now by our favorite lads.
Two-time champ. Two-time champ.
Get in here. Swing your chair around. This is the camera.
What are you drinking there?
Yeah, this is the most cliche Vegas drink. It just needs to be about a foot longer. Tell us what is in that.
4 shots of 151 and strawberry margarita.
Can I try this?
Well, you're gonna get all the
4 shots of 151 and the strawberry margarita,
it, dude. Like,
so is there also tequila in there?
Like down there, no tequila.
Okay,
that is such a Vegas drink, dude.
Yes, it is, dude.
Look at this guy. All right, so if you guys listened to our Fantasyland episode a couple years ago, these two guys, like a couple Tasmanian devils, crashed their way into our lives.
Yes,
and they have stuck. We are now Facebook friends. We used to be Snapchat friends. I deleted. I'm sorry.
What?
I know.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. How many Snapchats have you been sending me that I haven't received?
I don't know. You son of a bitch.
I'm sorry. You've been yelling into the void, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of your thing, right? You shout into the void.
Yeah.
But these guys, we gave them a hard time because this is a team. These are guys that like to take 2 quarterbacks in the first 10 rounds, take 2 defenses before round ideally. 15. And we made fun of you. 13. Lance Turbis, aka Sports Betting Man, made fun of you. And yet you guys have been successful every year while Pat and I have whiffed. So the joke is on us, right?
That is correct. 2-time champions, 2-time entrants. We only play one team. We don't have 15 entries in this shit. So I can't say, oh, yeah, I won a league championship. Well, how many did you play? 15. No, we have one team every year and one championship every year.
But aren't you signing up for a second team this year?
We are. Since we are 2-time champions, we figured why not be 4-time champions in 3 years?
Oh, okay. All right.
So we have no idea what spot we have in our other one. Like I said, my dad went to go talk to Dr. Chris right now, and he is fucking livid because he thinks we're in an online draft. We didn't come to fucking Vegas to do an online draft.
We got to get a photo. Hang on, I can't take a photo. Here we go. Get in here. There we go. I got to let the people know our loose cannon friend is on the show.
Yes, sir. And I would like, as soon as we win another championship, I want to be on the 4for4 special.
I think you're
talked
made for
about
that,
some
to be
things.
honest.
Yeah.
I got some things to talk about on there.
Yeah, dude. You we'll see.
Fucking Jon Snow, dude.
You like
funny.
lettuce?
Yeah. So tell us about your night last night. You pieced out a little earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. I woke up with my pants around my ankles about 2 a.m. and I didn't have any money left. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I mean,
Where'd you wake up?
In my bed, but
Okay. All right.
I mean, I was still in my panties, my underwear.
Okay.
But at some point, I took my shorts off and just crawled in the bed. And I don't know.
Yeah, but it seems like you're getting the day started early here with this drink.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna have one. Just lighten the mood a little bit. Get ready for that draft tonight. I don't want co-manager all pissed off at me because I blurred out a defense in the 4th round. So
yeah, we do have the defensive aficionado right now. Who are your favorite defenses this year?
Well, you know, I think the easiest defense to go, of course, with the old Jags, right? But I'm really liking my Rams, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
I love them, dude. It almost seems too good to be true with all those, Sue, Talib, Peters. You've got an offense that, my God, dude, it's probably going to be a top 5 offense. So you match that up with the defense. Hey, we drafting online or in person?
Online, dude.
You guys signed up for an online
So we
draft.
came to Vegas to do an online league. So.
You're kidding, right?
Yes, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah. So
We are drafting in person.
yes, it's live.
Okay.
We still don't have a full league for the 6 o'clock tonight. They're waiting on that to
Yeah, you guys want us to jump in it?
fill out. Sure.
So we do it?
What is it, a main event?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I asked the guy,
I
I
mean,
said, so what's plan B? It doesn't fill. What do y'all do? I get my money back, or that's part of the events fee, or y'all keep that? He said, well, it'll fill if it doesn't fill live. Let's say they have 2, 3, 4, whatever many spots that's not live. They'll get online drafters to fill it.
Right.
And then they'll have like one of their
So bulky draft.
FFPC personnel to
Okay.
call out the draft.
All right. I feel like we should give you guys a proper introduction. Longtime viewers will know we've talked to you each year when we've been out here. So we got Mark Ray. He is the voice of the La Mesa Golden Tornadoes. Did I get that right?
The
La
one
Mesa
and
Golden Tornadoes.
Yeah.
La Mesa, Texas.
Yep. Okay. And then
No.
we got his son here, Matt, aka Uncle Piat.
The voice of the Uncle
Okay,
Piat
you got
show.
it. You need to talk into.
Oh,
a
the
mic.
voice of the Uncle Piat show.
You can tell the dad's the broadcaster because Matt's forgetting to talk into the mic. But yeah, you guys, I feel like we have created a rivalry with you guys and Lance Turbis, sports betting man. But you guys were pretty chummy last night. Things seem pretty friendly.
What'd you say his last name was? Jizz Fest? What was it? Lance what?
Lance Turbis.
Oh, Turbis. Okay.
Turbis.
Turbis.
Yeah. But what do you think of his new haircut? He's looking pretty clean cut.
I didn't like it.
You like the hippie version.
No, I like the man bun, dude.
You guys last year named your team in honor of him and had actual man buns.
Yes, we wore our man bun wigs to the draft
Mm-hmm.
in honor of Sir Lance.
So what's the team name and theme this year?
Brady Gaga.
Ra ra ooh la la ra ba goo ga 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 ga.
Okay. I like that. You guys, it's like you choreograph that. You say the name and he launches into song and dance.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Wait till you see our custom-made Brady Gaga shirts tomorrow.
Are we getting a preview of this?
I'm
right
telling
now?
you guys, you're gonna love them, dude. They cost me $70.
All right,
Custom made.
we got to see a photo and then we got to show the webcam so they know what we're talking about here. Wow. Okay, let me show.
Brady Gaga.
I don't know if you can see that.
I think it's coming through.
It's that's incredible.
And let me show you all the pictures of the man buns last year. This is actually a photo
back of them.
from Fantasyland's Twitter. I will be showing
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you to Plug Fantasyland's Twitter.
Fantasyland Twitter.
Yeah, we do a tweet on there once every 6 months. Check it out. Turn on notifications. Don't want to miss those tweets.
Let's
So
see
we are in between drafts right now. The early drafts finished up.
Here we go.
All right, you got to go show it.
All right, here we go.
You got to go to the camera.
Here we go, folks.
Go closer.
Yeah,
Closer. 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 There they are. The man buns.
No one can hear you, Matt. Matt's just talking to the camera.
Here we go. Careful with this drink.
Oh my god.
Am I back on?
Yeah, you're good. You're
Okay,
good.
so as you can see, we have the man buns, the Step Brothers matching T-shirts. Mine was a little short. As you can see, somehow I'm looking googly-eyed in here. I don't know what happened there, but nonetheless, rah rah.
I just took another sip of your drink, and that thing is foul.
If you remember, that's what knocked him out last year.
But that was 3 of them.
This is what a pack of ladies on a bachelorette night out drink. All right, I don't know how you can do this.
Or
They also
a
sing
gringo
Lady
from
Gaga, so
Texas
they'll
and
fix it.
Vegas. All right, so let's get back to some fantasy chit chat, fellas. I need a bold prediction for your sleeper tight end this year.
Okay, first of all, I like this because Pat and I have been hosting now for an hour and 20 minutes, and to have someone else hop in the host chair, I can really, kick back, put my feet up, and let you answer the questions here. So, Pat, why don't you field that one because we've been talking about it.
Yeah, so my favorite, I'm just going to go ahead and steal from the great minds we've had on. The guy who keeps coming up is Ryan Griffin.
Ryan Griffin, okay? And he's going to finish in the top 30 or the top 10?
So now I feel like this is interesting for you to make fun of this because you are a man who drafted CJ Fedorowicz last year as your first tight end in round 14.
Who takes Ryan
No, it
Griffin.
was Evan Ingram last year was our first tight end.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
Fedor
No,
was the year
just-
before.
Okay.
Correction.
Sorry, but you guys are notorious for waiting on tight ends.
Mhm.
So why are you making fun of a starting tight end in the state you hail from who's going to get some targets?
No, there's a lot of things that hail in the state we're in. Doesn't mean we take them.
Touche. Touche.
But
Yeah, but we're not going to draft somebody for targets.
Why not? Aren't targets the lifeblood of fantasy football production?
I'd rather
So I read
draft
that
someone for the number of receptions that they have and yards and touchdowns.
And what
than
lead
targets.
to receptions?
And what now? Say again?
What comes before receptions?
Targets. But that doesn't mean that they get the actual
Des
reception.
Bryant had 130 targets last year and finished with like 60 catches.
Yeah,
So
I think it was
targets
more like
don't mean shit.
170 something targets, but
Would you take a flyer last round, Des Bryant?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Last round, sure.
All
Yeah.
right.
Who picks in the last round though? Because we alternate rounds. Who gets the
You
final
do.
say so?
Yeah.
Oh, then yes, we'll be taking Dez if he's there in the last round.
All right.
We got stars.
I
in the
got
chat.
odd. You have even.
Okay. Now we're taking Dez.
So you guys, you are not going to confer on individual picks. You guys are going to alternate the whole draft.
No, we always confer.
But if it comes, to-
I'm easily swayed with a good argument.
Yeah. How many good arguments does this guy have?
He's got good arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't have 2 more of those before we draft this evening.
I was hoping this was a Bloody Mary, and it was not.
I was hoping
yeah,
it was
it's going to
too,
be a Bloody Mary later in the bathroom.
That's
awful.
That's too much. Too much information.
yeah.
So Matt, who
This is a family show.
are you looking at with tight end? I know that. you're gonna
Well,
be taking some guys there.
you know, I'm going with a good friend of mine. We are Facebook friends. My friend Mike Gasecki.
Okay.
Wait, you're Facebook friends with Mike Gesicki?
No, but I did send him a friend request.
How many random NFL players have you attempted to friend
I'm friends with Marion Barber on Facebook.
request? You ever slid into those DMs?
Maybe, maybe not.
Stop wiggling the mic around.
Oh yeah. First time, folks. First time caller.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Mike Gesicki, who's being hailed as the next Jimmy Graham.
By
So
By Matt Jarrett.
This is
wow.
This
This
is
is off the rails.
that's the worst thing that has ever.
Has
Like-
anyone ever done that on a podcast with you before? I'm just curious.
I will say right now there have been a lot of awful
I'm
videos.
surprised you didn't. What did you like? No, seriously. Has anyone ever shit their pants while you were doing a podcast with them?
No,
That's the first
And they
time.
seriously sharded too. There's juice in there.
Dude, did you hear how fucking wet that shit
I
was?
spoke of the Bloody Mary too soon.
Yes, Coach leaves in the chat. Did that just happen? Yes,
Wow.
it did. And I've put out. There's been a lot of awful videos that have come out on this channel, but I can say for certain this is the lowest moment in this channel's history.
Yes, it is.
By far. The only thing I could give it props for were the acoustics did come through pretty
He
solid.
did get the mic on there.
Yeah, it
pretty
did.
well.
Ooh, and that matter of fact, it's a bloody hairy right now. Ooh.
I love that you can't get the mic up to your mouth correctly, but when it comes to putting it in front of your butt for a fart, you just nailed that to
Well,
total perfection.
Yeah.
I apologize to everyone out there. Does anyone have a question?
Sorry about that, Coach.
You guys have a question for these two total loose cannons?
All right, so-
Mark, are you proud of
Fucking
it?
crickets. Look at it. Crickets.
Crickets.
Mark, what kind of fan interaction do you get with the fans of the La Mesa Golden Tornadoes?
He's
What's
a
golden
hometown
tornado,
hero.
by the
That's
way?
a great.
It's
how
a
we never
tornado
thought
that's
that.
made out of gold. Come on, guys.
Oh my goodness. And I feel like in Texas too, like a tornado, that's a sensitive subject. I mean, someone in Miami, I was just gonna say Miami Hurricanes. I guess that's the thing. Why are we naming our teams after natural disasters?
Well, they have the Edmonton Earthquakes in the CFL.
Okay, I didn't know
So,
that. That's a better
New York
contribution.
Red Bulls. Yeah.
okay.
No, sorry, I derailed you. What's the team outlook this year? Because they've famously been historically awful in previous years.
Playoffs.
Wow, calling the playoffs.
Yeah, bold prediction.
Where can people tune in if they want to listen to your sweet dulcet?
KPETradio.com
Okay, yeah, and those are all live streamed every Friday.
every Friday night.
Are you going to be
Except for
tuning in?
tonight, because I won't be there. So they're not even going to have the game tonight. First time ever
Okay.
that a Golden Tornado football game will not be aired live tonight. Very sad.
Wow, man, you without you, they just fall apart. I like how Coach Leaf says one guy doesn't value targets, the other is farting in the mic.
And yet these guys have won their leagues back-to-back years.
Yeah, and we haven't.
And we have not made the playoffs.
Yes.
All right, so you guys are clearly better at fantasy football than us. You've proven it with your track record. So why don't you give us some of your bold predictions? Who are the flyers, the sleepers? How are we approaching drafts?
I'll tell you someone that over the last week I've really started jumping on, and I know everyone's on the Jimmy G train because of the last, 7 games of the year, 5 games of the year, whatever. But not a lot of people are talking about Goff, who had 19 touchdowns in his last 8 games, 4 300-yard games, 2 4-touchdown games, and he's still not being a top 10 quarterback taken right now in most leagues.
We love Goff.
So pair him up with that defense and maybe the best running back in football. I mean, that dude may throw 35 touchdowns.
I like it.
So
Get him really late. Get him in the 14th.
Well, that's what I'm
Sure.
saying. Not too many people are loving him that much based on the look of these
I
draft
know.
boards out here,
that's
because
what I'm saying.
he's going anywhere from like 14th, 15th, 16th round.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's not being drafted. as a
one guy
starter.
drafted him as his only quarterback, and that was like a 17th round. His only quarterback he drafted.
That's an absolute steal.
It's-
I also love that they opened the week against the Raiders, too. That's just going to be a weak defense. I think he's going to get out to a really nice start. How are you guys approaching the wide receivers in that offense? Woods, Cooks, and Kupp all going within a few rounds of each other.
I like Woods. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be injury prone.
I like Kupp. I think that he's going to be Goff's favorite little target. He had 70 catches last year, 800 yards as a rookie. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
And I can see him catching 80 balls this year, 900,000 yards.
I actually have him in one team, and my team is named after him. 2 Coopers, 1 Cup.
I have 2 new team names. Thanks to my pops here, he sent me a Matthew Berry top 10 fantasy football team names, and I did change my name to him. And one of them is Flaccaroni and Cheese. And the other one is When You Get That Feeling, I Want Sexual Feeling. Sexual stealing.
I was going to say it's not too creative to use names from Matthew Berry's column, but when you kind of position it that way and bring your own little flair,
sure.
and twist
Matthew Berry don't bring that shit.
No, he just types them out, and you bring those to life.
Sure.
I like that. We might have to just do some fantasy karaoke with you, where we
absolutely.
We already got Brady Gaga. We have
rah.
All right. I like that. Yeah, I think Cooper Kupp is very interesting because he's going to be a possession guy, lots of targets, working out of the slot, but he also gives you that red zone production. He could and most likely will be Goff's favorite target in the red zone, which he was last year. So if you can pair some touchdown upside with the usage, between the 20s, that has some major upside there.
It does, and a lot of targets, which
I know. Yeah, you're not into the targets, but we're going to try to convince you on this. You're going to come away from this interview thinking, 1, why did my son fart on camera? And 2, targets are important. That's the goal.
Hey, Pat, what do you think of Pat Mahomes this year?
Nice segue there.
Yeah, this is quite a nice segue. I like Pat Mahomes. I think he's got obviously a lot of upside. I would love to have a piece of Pat Mahomes through Travis Kelce. We keep talking about wanting to fall to us at 212. He isn't all that high on our target list because of where we'd have to take him. We're generally targeting running backs in that 10 through 12 range. So I don't think we'll probably end up with him, but he's super exciting.
Did you guys see the preseason game when he literally threw the ball 75 yards before it dropped on the 5-yard line to Tyreek Hill?
And he's like one of the only guys in the league who can actually do that.
A 75-yard, like, for real pass, dude.
Yeah,
shit was crazy.
Also may throw about 24 interceptions, though. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, the tough thing with
I'm
him
a Texas Tech fan, so he.
Yes, the Golden Tornadoes are just an hour outside of Red Raider Stadium, which would be Jones AT&T Stadium, I believe. Right?
He is the little gunslinger type that.
Yep. So Matt, you've mentioned the Rams defense a couple times now. Where would you be looking to take them?
Well, since we do have the number 2 slot, so we'll have that little back-to-back, spot there in the 2 picks and 4 picks.
Stay focused.
I could see us.
Oh boy, the model girls are walking by. This is
I could see us taking Jags and Rams back-to-back when the time comes.
And when would that time be?
6th round.
No, that's when you're.
You like that, Coach?
Yeah. Oh, we actually do have a question from Coach here. Can we reach for Emmanuel Sanders a bit? Keenum loves to go to the slot receiver. Thielen last year, and great matchups in division versus the Chiefs and the Raiders. Texas fellas, what are your thoughts on Emmanuel Sanders? A reach, I assume, would be probably early 5th, maybe late 4th.
If Emmanuel Sanders is there in the 10th round, I'll take him. But other than that, I don't want anything to do with him.
Really? Why not?
I don't. First of all, I think Demaryius is going to – he's that Thielen type person with Keenum, I think. And I just don't see Sanders doing any better than he ever has. Sanders' best years are behind him. So
I think Coach's thesis is that he actually is going to be the Thielen for Keenum.
Right.
In this
and
offense.
I don't think he will be.
All right. You think Demaryius is?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't
think he will be either.
I don't think Sanders is a guy I want to reach for.
No.
I don't mind him at cost. One thing to keep in mind.
But if your choice between is if you get to that point, you need a receiver, and it's between Sammy Watkins and Emmanuel Sanders. Yes, I'd probably take Sanders over Watkins.
Okay.
In that ballpark.
Here, I got some. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say another underrated part about this. If Cortland Sutton is as good as advertised, that's going to pull targets away naturally from both of them.
Right.
And the thing that's been nice about the Broncos pass offense in years past is how concentrated it's been. They haven't had a tight end. It's been Demaryius or Emmanuel, and both of them have been serviceable because of that. But if Sutton emerges, I think that could take a little damper off of their projections and why I wouldn't necessarily want to reach for either of those guys.
That's a good point.
I agree.
What were you going to say?
Okay. This is something that I brought up at breakfast this morning, so I'm going to bring it up to y'all now.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. So, Cleveland Browns, 1-31 the last 2 years. You've got Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, both of those going
Bless him.
4th, 5th round.
Yep. Correct.
You got Njoku, when you asked about sleeper tight ends, I thought he was going to be a sleeper tight end coming in here till I started looking at draft boards and seeing him going off in the 6th or
Drafters
7th.
are awake. Yes.
Yeah. So
looks like everyone did
but you
watch
got
Hard Knocks.
Njoku going in the 6th round in most of these boards out here I'm looking at. You got Carlos Hyde going in the 5th or 6th round. Yet there are boards out here with 20 rounds deep where Tyrod Taylor's not even getting drafted.
I like where you're going with this.
Okay, so if you've got that many weapons on offense from a fantasy standpoint, am I the only one out here that kind of likes Tyrod Taylor? Am I an idiot?
I think you make an incredible point.
When I say like him, I don't want him to start for me, but to not
Joe?
get drafted in a 20-round draft.
Yeah, that seems.
And people are taking Jameis Winston in the 14th, 15th, 16th round. I've seen Jameis Winston go ahead of Jared Goff in some of these boards.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where
what the fuck is somebody thinking?
Yeah, and a lot of people I know on RotoViz, they've done that where you look at the ADPs of the pass catching weapons. And I think another example of that right now is Eli Manning. Look at where his weapons are going. Mm-hmm. And yet Eli Manning is being drafted in 17th, 18th round. Something has to give. Either those early receiving options are overvalued or the Tyrod Taylor, Eli Manning are wildly undervalued. You got to pick a stand. All right. What do we got? We got this guy blasting a Snapchat.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I understand.
You wouldn't see it anyways. You deleted me.
So,
but yeah, I like that thought though. I think Tyrod Taylor's a great target.
And then
there.
here's over and unders.
I like how he says Tyrod
Cleveland
after
Browns
he watched
at
Hard Knocks.
5.5.
That's
They're the worst
pronunciation.
over under here in Vegas.
I am.
Yep. But see, that makes me worried that maybe we're overdrafting the Browns' weapons.
Okay, so how do y'all feel about some of these weapons getting drafted? Josh Gordon.
So Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry has been an argument for me and Pete. We actually made a bet last night.
$100 bet. Who scores more fantasy points? Josh Gordon
Cash
or Jarvis
money
Landry?
too, not PayPal.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask.
Who took who? I'm curious.
For the record, I will accept PayPal for Pat.
Pat Zach, I want to use the Cash app.
No, Pat's gonna pay me in Cardano. He has a huge bag.
Yeah.
All right, let's not get derailed on crypto here. What are your guys' thoughts on that Gordon versus Landry debate? Because they are going.
I like both of them.
Ooh, hold on. Really. I have a question for it, or I have a question. If you ended your draft and you had Carlos Hyde, Jarvis Landry, and Josh Gordon all on the same team, how would you feel about that?
Terrible,
because I don't want to take Carlos Hyde where he's going.
Okay. We actually just decided, if Landry and Gordon are available at 4 or 5, we're not.
So if you had all three of them on your team, could you ever see yourself starting all three of them in the same week?
Well, you'd have to if you did take them at their cost.
Good point. Which is one reason.
Unless someone emerges from your draft late that overtakes Hyde, I guess. Right.
Here's our thing. I almost kind of want to start whispering this.
Nick Chubb, so
that's what I was just going to say. Chubb is a guy I'm looking at. And I think Hyde, he's going to have a fast start. He got a lot of usage in the preseason. Hugh loves his veterans. But I think they're going to have a hard time keeping Chubb off the field as the season progresses.
Yep.
So I want Chubb. I want Chubb late, and I don't want to have anything to do with Hyde unless he's a ridiculous
So what about
discount.
Puke Johnson? Does he repeat last year's catches or no? Not too many targets to go around?
It depends when Mayfield gets in the game, right? Gets in, when in the season he comes in, because I think Duke Johnson stands to benefit from that quarterback change.
Yeah, it's just hard to know how Duke is going to have any consistency with, like you said, if Njoku breaks out and Gordon and Landry both stay healthy and produce. There's just going to be a squeeze there, and Carlos Hyde can catch passes too.
And we can't forget about Antonio Callaway, who Coach Hugh really likes too.
Yeah, there's that situation, and maybe I think you're onto something. Maybe the way to play the Browns, the best way is just to get Tyrod and get your exposure to the offense that way.
But Pat, you obviously think at some point Banker is going to be
Pat
starting.
just did state that.
At what point?
Start. I have no idea, but I don't think you can go a whole.
Well, you
season.
can't say that, Pat, not have an idea when he's going to come in. So tell the audience, when does Baker Mayfield come in for Tyrod?
Well, let's think about it this way. The Browns, we got an over under 4.5. I think if we get to mid-season and they've got 2 wins, then they're putting in Mayfield.
See, that does not look like a 2-6 team to me. I'm just saying, again.
And imagine if they win Sunday, dude.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so
it's not out of the realm for them to win that game.
If they're winning, they're keeping Tyrod, because I agree with Pete that Hugh loves his veterans and that he's going to want to stick with Tyrod as long as possible.
And folks, the draft girls have arrived.
They can't see them.
And crickets.
Yeah, I think the most likely scenario is, in just knowing Hugh Jackson, is that they're going to land in that lukewarm middle territory where they're not good enough to be a legit playoff contender, but they're not bad enough to bottom out, play Baker.
I think they will be bad enough.
I think they're going to hover right around where they're never going to shift over, and they're going to keep Tyrod, but they're going to miss the playoffs, and it's just going to be a total mess, at least from like an organizational
You're
outlook.
basically thinking of the Bills.
What's the link to this so I can get some people to join that they have some questions to ask?
I'll share it too.
Let's stay with our sleeper tight ends for one more minute.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of O.J. Howard? I've seen him go in one draft board out here at like 10th round, but most of them he's like 17th, 18th, 19th round.
Yeah, 10th round, I want no parts. Late in the draft, you could be looking at a breakout. I think Brate's good. That's my concern with Howard. I think Brate's actually good. So you're looking at probably him splitting the tight end targets. And, if you're not getting those targets, I can't get down with it too much. So I'd rather take ASJ a couple rounds earlier or something like that.
Yeah, the also Fitzpatrick last year, I believe what more preferred Howard, and Winston really preferred Brate. So I think that's an interesting thing to keep in mind. Again, you could get the fast start with Howard, but based on the trend last year, Winston loved him some Cameron Brate.
Well, I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but somebody loved him some O.J. Howard in the last 3 or 4 games last year too. He outperformed Brate. You have to look it up, but
all right. I will look
again,
that up.
one more tight end. Took a picture of this. So here's a tight end that someone took in the 20th
Why
round.
don't you go show the camera? No, you got to go up there. Take the mic with you. We got to make sure we're.
Oh yeah, this one's pretty funny.
I love this one. That's Blake Jarwin.
That'd be closer.
Closer. Keep going.
Go on now, closer.
There we go. Oh yeah, it's kind of. It's backwards.
It's kind of.
It's Blake Jarwin. Don't worry about it. We tried. We tried.
But that's not what it says.
It's not what it says.
That's not what it says. It
What does
says
say?
Jake
I
Jarwin.
meant to say Blake, but it says Jake Jarwin.
So someone drafted Blake Jarwin, but didn't know who he was. They thought he was Jake Jarwin. So how does that work? Whenever they input this into your roster after the draft?
Hey Cutler, how you doing?
How do they do that?
Jay Cutler in the building.
Well, what stinks is that they're not even going to get Blake
Look at
Jarwin.
him, Jay.
They got his brother who works for PricewaterhouseCoopers,
And that's Jake Jarwin.
and it's Jake Jarwin. So good luck with that. Good luck with that.
And that's not the twin brother of Blake. That's actually his younger brother, Jake.
Younger brother. Yeah.
It's the only draft board I saw with a Cowboys tight end.
Yeah.
Jake, and he's not even about Cowboys
Jake,
tight end. Jake Jarwin.
Can we not? You not do that into the mic? Yeah. Just less bodily
Sorry about
sounds.
that.
Yeah.
It's because I'm not used to being on the radio, only the Uncle Piot show, and I don't have a studio or a producer or anything. So
You don't? Do you aspire to someday be the voice of the Golden Tornadoes like your father?
I've been offered to be his partner on there if I lived in town, but I don't live there. So
What would you do if during a game he brought the mic down and farted on it like he did just a few minutes ago on this program? What would happen to him?
Probably the same thing that happened to me when I got the guy I did it with the D's nuts on the air. So
it's legendary.
Yeah, tell this story if people. I don't know how they wouldn't be familiar with it, but
before he tells the story, let's go ahead and hit the audience with the app D's Nuts.
You have a D's Nuts app on your
Yeah,
phone.
you hit the button and you put D's Nuts.
It's unbelievable. Look at the D's Nuts button.
Hey,
That button and it goes D's Nuts. Go ahead and push that button.
Wait.
Oh, there's Scott. You guys want to hop on here? We're wrapping up. I mean, we've done enough farting into the mic. Let's get someone else on it. Thank you guys for coming on.
We appreciate you,
your time.
Peter.
appreciate it.
I just want to make one statement. There's the safest wide receiver folks in this year's draft. Don't forget about the man, the myth, the legend. He's had over 100 catches the last 3 seasons. He's in his 30s. His name's Larry Fitzgerald. He's only missed 2 games in the last 9 years, folks. Don't sleep on my man.
Thank you for that. That's quite the mic drop there. An actual mic drop on the Larry Fitzgerald call. All right, let's bring in Brian and Scott here. Scott, you're more than qualified. We hung out with this guy in the pool yesterday, and he is qualified.
Went real good. Yeah, Scott's the he's the brains on the beauty. So that's the tandem here.
Oh, we're live. We're like,
We're live. We are live on YouTube.
Gum, because
All right, let me get a photo. I mean,
Sure.
Draft Addict. We got to tweet this because he's got a loyal following that's going to want to see him
oh yeah,
live on YouTube right now. I saw it. You once again were at the gym this morning. Why do you keep putting us to shame? You're not supposed to make time for the gym in Las Vegas.
You just got to sweat out that Coors Light, you know?
You're feeling better than I was this morning.
Dude, we were in rough shape. So we were at the pool with these guys, and
Yes.
although at least we didn't have drafts to do. You had to get up for what, a 10 a.m. draft?
Yeah, we had 9 a.m. 28 rounder marathon best ball league. Was it 12:50? So yeah, we're about to walk into our second. So yeah, it's they're long. They're long, 28 rounds.
Yeah, and so you said these were going to be kind of marathon.
Yes, this
a
is the
true
long
grind.
day. This is a long day.
So how did they go?
They went well. I mean, we did a lot of Google searching pretty much after round 22, but I think they went well. We picked late again. We picked at the 11 spot. Started out pretty strong. What was first pick? Come on, you're the.
I was crossing stuff off. Like, I'm the
No, we went DeAndre Hopkins. So we went in the beginning, and then got Gronk on the way back. We passed on Julio. We passed on the free 28 points from last night. Yeah, I looked that up. I don't remember the end of the game last night. I'll just say that was a long day.
Yeah, it was. And so what? Now you have another 28 round one.
Yeah, another one. So we should be good.
What after the game last night? Are there any interesting ADP shifts that you're noticing?
Yes, Devonta Freeman dropped probably to mid-4th in the last couple rounds I've seen. He was, end of the first, end of the second, middle of the second round type guy. Ajayi's jumped up definitely. I've seen him going in the 4th pretty soundly, and then Julio, small bump, but beginning of the second round, he's now in the end of the first. So those are the 2 big ones I saw. Ertz did slip a little bit in our draft. He went, I want to say mid-3rd. But
should we talk about Pete and Pat affected this current draft?
We did. How so?
Yeah, well, yesterday we had to talk about. Are you concerned about putting too much faith in certain players throughout different drafts? And remember, you said absolutely not, and then you said, "Hey, we're not picking Tom Brady." Correct today.
I didn't want to take a quarterback early,
of which I pushed the issue.
Tom Brady.
So we got Tom Brady now again.
Yes.
Tom Brady.
It was pretty. We took him in the 8th, right?
We
I
stacked
thought
him with Gronk.
strong, but
But Pat Mahomes went like 6 picks later, so I'm pretty happy with the Brady pick at the end.
Yeah, you guys started a little quarterback run there. It sounds like.
Yeah. Draft experts leagues. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like the Devonta Freeman situation is interesting, especially because I read this morning about some concern about his PCL injury and him maybe not being at full health for the whole season. Or do you think his slide is just strictly due to his performance last night?
I didn't know about the injury news. I'm gonna be honest with you. So it could be a little bit of both. When did Coleman go? I think he went at the 6th round in the draft we did. So maybe that's why he got bumped up so high.
Yeah.
I think mainly it's due to performance.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that first game really has effects. People. I mean, they just saw it last night. So the fact that Ertz dropped a little bit too. I mean, I think Aguilar. He went where he normally does. He didn't drop too far, but yeah, I think definitely it was just the performance bias.
Yeah, I mean, we were really hoping for some bigger games from Ertz and to push those guys up.
Yeah,
we're praying for Kelsey at 212, and we really needed an Ertz bump
there.
Although he still is. And Freeman also stinks for us because he was a mid to late second guy every single draft, and I don't think he's going to go there anymore.
No, he won't.
So that's another. It's going to be tough for us to, we had been crossing our fingers hoping for an AJ Green, a Kelsey. But if Ertz isn't jumping up there, Freeman's no longer going there. We just lost McKinnon there a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to get one of those primo targets to slip like we had hoped.
It's getting uglier and uglier.
Yeah.
Especially in the 3rd round. The other guy that dropped big time was Calvin Ridley. in the draft we just did, he went in the 23rd round.
Wow.
So I mean, that was a massive drop. I don't. What was his stat line last night? He had like 2 targets, maybe. I don't.
I haven't even looked at the box score
yeah.
from last night. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would say he was maybe going probably overdrafted before, and now you think it might have swung too far in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, 23rd, especially in a best ball league. I mean, why not? I mean, at that point, he's probably your wide receiver 7, 8. You know, at that point, you're just building up, throwing darts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys got another draft. You're going to pound the table for Tom Brady again? Just keep doing it?
100%. Do you want to tell the guys some of your secrets?
Yeah, tell us
all these players. I don't know, about how you pick.
Tell us your secrets.
I just study draft boards of guys that are a lot smarter than me. That's the secret.
That's what we're doing.
I asked you this yesterday in a very nice pool cabana that Scott got. No, don't worry. How many drafts have you done this year?
So far probably safe. I would say 700-ish, 800-ish, somewhere around there.
That's insane, people.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, if anyone lives up to their Twitter handle, it's you, Draft Addict.
95% of them are best balls, though. So let's keep that in mind. So, very few roster managed, maybe 30 to 40 roster managed this year. So,
that's still a lot.
That's where I really lean on Scott.
Left-handed quarterback.
You can.
We're going to talk about left-handed quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. Never drafted a left-handed quarterback.
Yeah, right. That's one of our secrets.
Hang on. Yeah. Get into this theory because I haven't heard this.
Brian, would you like to elaborate?
No. Let's let Scott
ask him the question. He ducked it.
No, Scott, but I feel like this is mastermind by you.
No.
You got to talk to the mic, Scott.
I'm sorry. Well, there was some. What was it? This isn't going to be good for your viewers, I think. But there was Toyota did a fantasy football drafting championship.
Okay.
And one of the things I learned.
So you're giving them the full history.
Oh, I'm giving them the full history. I don't know.
No, it's good.
Else to go. They won't think it's funny, but they're giving these interviews of these pros that are getting these awards. And one of the guys, again, I'm not a big sports guy, right? I got to learn from YouTube and Brian and everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And they said never draft a left-handed quarterback. And so I've always stuck with that, and it's done well.
But isn't there only like one left-handed quarterback in the league? I don't even know if there's a starting left-handed quarterback in the league.
You know why? Because they caught on to his theory.
Oh, so you were in before everyone else.
100%.
Yeah. All right. If you're in the chat and you know of a left-handed quarterback that's starting, let us know, and I will for sure avoid him in my drafts. Do you have any other theories?
We're gonna watch the guys just go down.
Yeah.
He went from the 6th round to the 10th.
You tell us about some of your sleepers.
Yeah, who are your sleepers? Other than Tom
Brady.
Brady.
I don't know them yet because they're not in the league. I mean, they're that.
You tried to draft Debbie players in your drafts this year?
Just say yeah.
Just say yeah. You've been watching
right over my head there.
You've been hanging out at the high school, is what we hear. Scott. I know that sounds worse.
Yeah, it's not really. I'm married to 3 kids.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that
beautiful woman.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful family.
Love her. Excellent, guys. Well, I know you guys. What time's your draft? I don't want to make
1:30. You're all good, man.
You guys are good, right?
That was.
Yeah, I got.
I saw it. I mean, and then you just reel it right back in. No, we got plenty of time, guys.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're on hour 52, so clearly, we're willing to fill time.
Pull out your fart button.
I don't have one.
You don't have
that? No, it's all natural.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, did you? You probably didn't see this, but he literally farted into the mic when he was on camera. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's not a.
That's after the pool.
I wondered why we were just gonna keep going, and you're like, no, come on back, guys. Everybody else is ready to go.
Hey, Sean's making fun of us in the chat for only 6 people watching. Well, guess what, buddy? It's now 8. So
got that draft addict bump right there.
And Sean, I'm just going to tell you, we're broadcasting live, but this is evergreen content that thousands, nay, millions of people are going to watch over the next few days. So you can shove it, bud.
This will live on forever.
Yeah.
And what does that say when you're one of the people making fun of us? I mean, is that?
Yeah. You just owned yourself, dude, because you're one of them.
Let's alienate 10% of his audience right now.
No, but if you guys do have questions for Mr. Draft Addict himself and Scott, any left-handed quarterback theory questions, I'm sure they will happily field them. Who's your favorite sleeper?
Sleeper? Ooh, you know what? Oddly, I have 100% ownership of Tyler Croft.
Really? Last pick? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I think we got him in the 26th round of this last draft.
Wow.
So I like him as a sleeper, tight end premium format.
You're going to say Dez.
Oh, we got sniped on Dez. He went in round like 24, 25. It was crazy at that point. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
He went right before Brandon Marshall. So
have you paired Croft with a earlier Eifert share, or just all naked?
No. I mean, that's kind of why I like Croft, right? I don't
Yeah.
like Eifert. We've been going tight end early. I've had Gronk in all my FFPC drafts out here so far because I've been picking late in the first, and I usually get him early second. And then this draft, we actually paired him with we got Gronk and Kyle Rudolph, and we took him in the 5th, I think. And then after that, it went. I mean, we took Rudolph and then Njoku and one of the other kind of middle tier tight ends. They're flying off the board fast. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, we've been lamenting that of there really is no all the hype tight ends are just going at such a premium.
Oh yeah.
You really, I mean, you want in regular leagues, hometown leagues, Njoku's your sleeper. Out here,
right.
Not a sleeper at all.
Yeah, he's a 6th round pick. Yeah. Trey's another guy. I think he went in the 4th. Yeah. I mean, he is skyrocketing out here. Yeah.
That's why it is so nice to be able to get Gronk too, because you can just wait so long.
Yeah. We talked yesterday. I like I like starting out running back, tight end, and then you've got flexibility the next 6-7 picks. You can kind of do pick up whatever value falls to you. Hopefully, if some does.
Yeah, I saw you yesterday. Your first draft, you did the McCaffrey Gronk start. Is that your ideal start from a late round pick?
Yes. Yeah. We're picking 5 in this next one, so I'm not going to take McCaffrey that high, but I do love that at the end of the first.
Yeah,
being a second.
That is a really nice combo.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're taking McCaffrey over Fournette, Melvin Gordon, and Hunt.
They're usually gone by then. I'm taking them over Hunt for sure. Fournette and Gordon have been going middle of the first. I mean, they're going early. I think the last one we did, he went at the 105. Fournette did, and then Gordon was at like the 107, 108. So those guys are usually off the board.
Yeah, it's I know a lot of the sharp guys love them some McCaffrey. I think I've even seen Hubbard and Sousa, those guys taking him at 103, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, it's either them, McCaffrey or Saquon. But yeah, the days of getting McCaffrey in the middle of the second they're gone. They're gone. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that would have been. It's interesting because we were talking about this with Le'Veon Bell and how there's the chance, say, news continues to be poor and we could get him late and you could start a team with Gurley and Bell. Yeah. And how many other teams in the main event you wouldn't even have a chance at that combo?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so how important is it, do you think, for, say, this huge upside to maybe take advantage of situations like that where you have a really unique roster compared to the field? Is that something you consider at all?
You mean like what? Taking a stab at Bell to give you that, or
just
what?
Knowing that no one else is going to have that combo come 14 to 16 when, say, everyone drafting at around the same time could have similar types of player sets.
I could see that if you're in a main event draft where you're maybe taking the shot at the $200,000, right?
Right.
If you're doing a best ball like we're doing now where, you're just trying to beat 11 other guys, I'm probably going to pass on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing we always battle with, winning the league, trying to have a team that can have the upside to win the 250,000. It definitely seems like a Gurley Bell team in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Could do that.
Yeah, and he's been slipping. I mean, in our draft, he went in at like the 203, 204. So he's starting to fall. He's getting closer to that middle of the second round pick where you could, do a David Johnson, possibly Bell. Maybe it gets to that point later on this weekend. So
well, if he doesn't report tomorrow, then
Yeah. All right, Scott, we need another hot take. We need a sleeper strat.
There's no sleepers. But I was going to ask what we did talk about this yesterday, that when we're talking in these events, the pros never give quite their best advice. They give their second best advice. So I was going to ask Brian, what's your second favorite pick? Because you're not going to tell us the first one. You're going to lie.
I'm too many beers deep for that. The McCaffrey Gronk is the selection for me in the beginning. Yeah, for sure. That's the start I like.
So you asked him for his second, which means he's now going to give us his third.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
They're just always going to move the goalposts a little bit more on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, because a lot of the high stakes guys like keeping some of that close to the vest. You're obviously sharing your boards, sharing your thoughts. Because is it for you? It's just way more of a portfolio thing.
I'm doing such a high volume. It just doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't keep track of my player shares, so I see it as a way. I don't mind if somebody takes a guy I like because I know I've got 500 shares of the guy, right? You know what I mean? It kind of saves me from myself. So I don't mind sharing boards. I don't mind, I don't know of that many people that think I'm good enough to keep track of the guys I like. But
they do.
Yeah.
Last year, we had Mr. Sniper next to us with all your boards.
Yeah, Barry. Yep.
That's the kind of research that makes you terrified that they might wake up and they would be hovering over your bed.
Barry,
yeah. Our friend Barry Noyce, he was a fixture of these FFPC main events the past 2 years, and he is now in Thailand doing unspeakable things.
Do they get YouTube in Thailand? I mean, will he?
About quite a bit.
Yeah, I believe they do get YouTube in Thailand. I think he might be a little preoccupied. I'm sure all of the relationships he's enjoying are completely non-transactional and are based on true, unrequited love. So, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, Barry. Yeah, he passed up on fantasy football for beautiful Thai women.
Yeah.
That's
He's
kind
the
of the
smartest one of us all, right? You're sitting here talking to me, and he's talking to Nan.
Yeah.
He's in a very different kind of.
Yeah. Scott, what do you think about blowing off this draft, heading down to the pool, getting a cabana, some chicken tenders?
Let's do it, man. Let's go right now.
The wives are at Burberry right now, so no more cabanas for this week. Yeah,
it's so much cheaper down at the cabana than wherever they are.
They're at Burberry. That's gonna do some damage.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they walked in on our 9 a.m. draft with bottles of Moet.
I don't even know what that is.
Just
champagne.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they're in a
So I'm not as classy as I look.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's trouble because it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, I come out here for you. You get your drafts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go buy $800 handbags.
Yeah.
It's kind of the trade-off.
Yeah.
Where can we sign up for that one? That one's cheap. Where's that one?
Yeah, there's no such thing. Yeah, you're not getting out of there for what? Less than a couple grand?
No, not when his wife's there.
Yeah.
Let's just say we could buy a couple more main event teams with what they're spending today. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There you go.
And I'm not even sure they like what they're buying. I mean, they're like your 4-year-old.
They're just doing it to stick it
Walking
to
around, they're like, oh, he's just like, hey, Daddy, can I have this car? Can I please? And you're like, hey, buddy, this, do you really want the car? But no, I want it really bad. And then they never play with it again.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like our wives are doing right now.
Yeah.
I really want this handbag. Oh,
okay. Yeah. Hey.
My wife's beautiful and intelligent. I would never compare her to a child.
Mine is too.
Yeah.
That's why I do all this stuff.
Yeah.
This is
I'm sure she's watching right now. I think this went up to 9.
They just
and 10.
pulled up the live stream at Burberry.
We actually dropped down one person.
Yeah, we are crushing your
from
guys'
7 to
live
6.
feed. Yeah.
They're like, well, when you put it that way, grabs another bag. Yeah, you're gonna have to. That's gonna be quite the time looking at your credit card statements. Just like main event draft.
Yeah, you just don't look.
Cabana, 4 handbags.
Yeah, you just don't look.
You don't look.
No.
Well, fellas, I think we need to get going.
let's
We
let
gotta
you
get that
do your
draft up.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do more of this.
yeah. Good luck with those lefty quarterbacks.
See you guys.
All right,
Thanks.
guys. Good luck.
Scott, you're a natural.
Yeah, right. Hold the mic closer.
Yeah, don't steal my football. We'll see you guys.
All right. Nice little run there of some guests.
Yeah. I think we probably can't start our wrapping up for this session once these 1:30 drafts get rolling. Our guests are gonna dry up a little bit, but do we have any final takeaways? Tomorrow, our draft is at 2 p.m. We are going to do another live stream tomorrow after our draft where we will break down everything we've been talking about up to this point, seeing how it all went. So you guys can feel free, hit the subscribe button below. If you turn on the little bell notification, you'll get a notification when we go live. It'll probably be around, I would think, like 4:30 or 5.
Stream the break, the 10-round break.
The 10 round break. Yeah, we could. We've had, although sometimes we need to actually use that time to reboot and kind of reassess the board. But yeah, that might be an option. This has been a good time. Do you have any other parting thoughts for today's live stream?
No, I'm excited to draft tomorrow. I think we're decided, we need to do a little bit more homework on those later rounds, but some of the names that we got thrown out to us today have been awesome, and make me excited to dial in on those targets. Ryan Griffin really sort of percolating around right now. I love it.
Yeah, Ryan Griffin. He's rocketing up our personal draft boards, at least around higher.
Croft, another late round tight end name.
Yeah, I do like that. I do really like. I mean, he was very productive when Eifert's out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty simple. Like if Eifert's playing or starting, you don't use him, and if not, you have a great fill-in
right
there. You normally don't think of. I think another guy in similar vein of thought as far as the handcuffed tight end is Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
He's stepped in really nicely whenever Reed's been out. Although I think Vernon's a little more expensive than Croft.
He is more expensive. The one thing with Croft is that, he's really probably more effective as a best ball pick because you're not going to have the chance to do waivers. So you gotta figure out guys who have high contingent value and get them on your roster when you have the chance to, which is during the draft, the only chance you have to add guys. So
right, because Croft would be like the first guy you cut if you had to get someone on the waiver wire. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. These are archived on the YouTube page, so you can I'm sure rewatch them.
We'll
back
be some of this up for our podcast. So
yeah, I think we got enough stuff. Yeah, and I should mention that. So we are doing a weekly podcast via the RotoViz podcast network. It's called High Stakes Diaries. If you search for it in iTunes or your Android Pocket app of choice, you'll be able to find that. We've done 2 episodes so far. Last week we did one with Sean Siegel, a draft boot camp episode, and yeah, we'll have another episode coming out tomorrow, and then we'll go weekly with it, and it'll be hopefully a little different than anything else out there, where we kind of walk through what we're thinking, what we did on the waiver wire, any of our start sit decisions, looking ahead to bye week schedule, and of course breaking down our team. And yeah,
hopefully it'll be a little bit more upbeat this year than our articles series for RotoViz has for the last 2 years.
Yeah, the past 2 years, it's not that fun to do weekly content about a team that is failing miserably. So yeah, for our sake and for the listeners, hopefully morale can be higher. And yeah, all right, guys, we will catch you via a live stream tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.